Reinventing the Tattoo, the community for tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and all those who are curious about the world of tattooing. We encourage everyone to join these live streams and real world events as we aim to educate and inspire one another to create better artwork, tattoos, and to leave the community a better place than how we found it. We stream out most days of the week, so be sure to check out the full schedule of events we have going on, as well as our professional development courses from over 20 world-class tattooers at reinventingthetattoo.com. You can also find us on all your favorite podcast platforms, as well as our Roku channel. So search for Reinventing the Tattoo and you'll find us on there. Real quick, just want to say thank you to the sponsors who make it all possible. Thank you to World Tattoo Events, which has the largest, most comprehensive list of tattoo conventions going on in the world right now. Tattoo Now, technology for tattooers. They're the leading edge in professional development, management, and digital tools for tattooers of all levels, as well as our affiliates at the Fireside Tattoo Network and the Apprenticeship Diaries. And lastly, we want to say thank you to Guy Atchison, who makes it all possible. He's the founder and inspiration behind the Reinventing the Tattoo community, and you can go to guyatchison.com to get your copy of the Biomech Encyclopedia, instructional DVDs, original oil paintings, and custom coil machines. So if you're enjoying the knowledge we're sharing, be sure to share it with a friend and to watch another video. Boom.
Kyle, that was wonderfully done.
Thanks.
Also-
I've gotten better ever since your niece critiqued me.
Well, constructive criticism
Sometimes
can
you
come
need it,
from any
right?
direction. Yeah. But also I have to note, we started on time tonight.
Wow, look at us.
That's pretty grown up of us.
Proud.
Maybe it's
We
because
were here early to set up too.
we were here early to set up and we were on time starting. And I feel like maybe it's because we had a 2-week hiatus and kind of got our lives together and are, I think, much more prepared to talk about tatties.
I'm excited. I've been ready.
Ben should be able to be back with us next week. We're not going to hold him to it, but he should be back with us soon. But we've had a pretty busy last few weeks. Had some road trips in there. We've had a few different conventions happen.
Got tattooed.
Maddie got tattooed. Maddie did some tattoos.
Did some tattoos.
I did some tattoos.
too? That's great.
Every now and then. Every now and then I tattoo a little bit.
Silly baby.
But yeah, so there's always a lot going on in the tattoo world. So today we are going to get back on track and kind of share with everybody what's new, and then we're going to jump down some collecting rabbit holes. Maddie just recently got worked on. So we're going to talk about not only her piece, but her artists, and we're going to kind of jump all over the place. So one of the shows that happened recently was the Rubber City Tattoo Expo.
I've never been to Rubber City before.
I didn't get a chance to go this year. I was going to go up on either Saturday or Sunday, but it didn't work out for me to make it up there.
I also was trying to go, but it just didn't.
Yeah, I just wanted to go at least for a day to get some
Mhm.
footage and stuff. Last year we went and it was a really good show. Last year was the first show, the first Rubber City show.
Cool.
And I felt like it was organized really well. Everything was really well organized.
I have a couple friends that like to go to that one. I saw them
Yeah.
last year and they're there again this year.
Yeah, the
Chris
venue
was
was
talking about how
awesome.
much he liked it.
Yep. It wasn't necessarily a real big show, but it was it was a real good energy show. You know, there are some shows that are just so huge you can't even make it down all the aisles all weekend to like thoughtfully and acknowledge everybody who's there. This is one of those shows that it feels like a hometown show, but people travel from everywhere to show up to it. There's Chris.
Sun's out, guns out.
Oh, you're just going through Chris's slideshow. Nice.
This is from the Rubber City page.
It looks like they were all having a good time this year. Notice they have pipe and drape.
Big plus.
Notice the pipe and drape. See, I was spoiled. My first tattoo convention was Hell City. So I was like, this is awesome. And then I went to other ones and I was like, oh shit, I should have brought that, huh?
Hey, Kyle, you know what you should do?
Hmm.
Click the little tag button down in the corner.
1 sec.
I'm such a I consume so much material. I'm drawing a blank on a few people's names that are like perfect homies.
Antoine Davis.
Kicking Maddie around. Yeah, this looks like it was a really good show. Everybody looks just chill and relaxed. And there's Denny. We've had Denny on the show. Oh man, I think the plugs that I'm wearing now that I've worn for like the last 5 years, I got from him. There's Tony
The plugs I
Urbanic.
wear every day are
That's-
from
if
him
you
as
go
well.
back one more slide, that's Tony Urbanic in the RC shirt. He's a show promoter. Aaron, in the very beginning, it was Aaron whose name I couldn't remember.
Oh, okay.
Drew a blank. It's like when you like draw a blank and can't remember like your own sibling's name. Like,
Or their age.
oh, those trophies look rad.
They do the I'm not sure if they actually made the cards like Indie Expo does, but they do the cards to like show your artist.
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
that was pretty cute.
Mhm. That was a pretty cool little surprise at the indie show. It
Yeah.
would be cool if like that was a thing that artists could collect from multiple shows. And,
Just keep
you know, almost like seasons. Like
that a lot.
pretty cool. Best of show. I wonder who this was. Are there any tags in that?
Hmm.
That's wonderful. Is that it? Yep.
I think it's the models tagged.
Scroll to the next page. Boom. Is it no tag on that?
There's no tag on that one.
Anyways,
Was it not
that's super
tattoos by
rad.
Julia? There was
That,
might have
maybe
been.
that was it then.
yeah. Look at that little frog. Stop it. Look at his little fingers.
I love how like simply and smooth this is done. That background
Yeah.
reads so beautifully. And then having that like halo around the one leg of the frog, that white kind of highlight around it. Man, nice and beautiful.
Like fades very well into color too.
Yeah, the textures in that fur. Oh, this is really beautifully done. I like the way the whiskers and like the fuzz on the bottom of the chin start looking almost like neon lights. Like
Oh yeah.
if you were encountering this in I don't know, maybe that's a poison dart frog. Maybe it is supposed to be a hallucinogenic journey.
I love that.
It's the story I'm getting from it. What do you think, Kyle?
Sounds about right.
Did you take a journey with those two?
Did give it a shot.
It's a little negative space, little whippies.
Mhm.
Love those.
I love that they're connected to the leaves down below too. So it's like it's just morphing into, you know,
And the
daydream.
colors like start up that are like
All right, okay. So best of show. All right.
Pretty great.
Pretty good. Go scroll back and click on the artist's page. Let's check the rest of her workout. Was it tattoos
yeah,
by
right
Julia?
here. Best of show and the tattoos by Julia. Right
Yep.
there.
Go
Yeah.
ahead and click on that bad boy and see. Let's take a look at some of her other work. Look at that alien.
Mm-hmm.
And that scrimpy.
Boom.
Ooh, oh my goodness.
Look at that Yeti. Perfect sense. All makes perfect sense. Well, hold on a second. I just realized that was on a thigh. That's huge. Both of them. The previous one I just realized was on a thigh, but that one's on a thigh also. It was big, beautiful, nice work.
She's from Pennsylvania.
Uniontown.
There's that one.
Very nice. Very nice. Look at them antlers.
Mhm.
Did you go to the show last year, Kyle?
I did.
You did. What'd you think of it?
It was good. The Machine Olympics was really cool too.
I wonder, did they do the Machine Olympics again this year? Did they?
I'm pretty sure they did. I'd have to like search for it though to find it.
That was kind of one of the highlights for me last year.
These are hers too.
Nice. Those are wonderful.
Goobers.
I love the way you love goobers. They're like
do.
your favorite. Like, and you use the term broadly, but it's such a like
It's kind of become
endearing
a term
thing for
around the
you.
shop here.
I love it. Listen, things are goobers for different reasons.
Tell
Like
me,
a goober's a goober.
how does one become, what's the difference
Okay.
between being a
How
goober
does one
and like,
goober-
yeah, what being a goober or like,
Okay,
how-
let me hit you with it. So goober, right? We're
Yeah.
gonna start with like the original
yeah,
meaning behind it, right? And then we get into like when it starts to get a little more like Urban Dictionary, when you start using goober, all kinds of fun. So goober originally is like a little guy, a little critter of some sort. Something just looks real silly. It's just it's a little duder.
the globbly
Little
goo.
gobbledygook, anything that's like real fun, like real smooth, just a little fun little duder, right? But then some people, like, because they're just fun and goofy for no reason, like, oh, you're just, look at you just being a little goob. That's so silly. But then like people also act that way. So you're like, oh man, what a goober over there. That's a little goober dude. Like Dave Tavenel, goober. Love him, goober. He's a goober. Like every time I talk to him, we're just both just goobing out, you know?
Goobing out,
Just
huh?
goobing out.
Goobing out.
Yeah, absolutely. But also like when someone's like, hey, don't be a goober. That was silly. Don't be a goober. You know what I mean? I don't like to use negative self-talk. That's really where it came from, is I stopped using negative self-talk. So I like to say things like, that was silly. That was a goober move. That was silly little guy right there. We can just move past it.
Moving on past Kyle, you're clicking away over there.
Yeah,
What are you lining up for us?
No, I'm just trying to find the Machine Olympics if they had a picture of it.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
Last year they had machines that were set up like little chainsaws.
It's cute.
And I think it was successful, but I think they're still little delicate machines.
Right.
So when you manhandle a little delicate machine, what do you think happens? That doesn't machine very long. So
Fair.
last year, a lot of them broke on the chainsaw, but the machine races, that was pretty epic. There were,
How does that work? I'm thinking like the little chicken toys that are like, is that?
well, kind of. There was like a track,
Okay.
like it was either 4 or 6 lanes. I think it was 4 lanes. So it's like a 4-lane track, and there's like barriers in between the lanes, and the machines are on clipboards, and they just turn them on at full bore and see which ones travel down the track the fastest.
See, that's goober shit. The people who started this, goober shit.
And the thing is, they're all like expert machine builders
They're
too.
goobers. Yeah, absolutely. Derb goober. You know what I mean?
Best
I meant
nerds.
goober. Yeah. The best
Oh,
people are
here we go. I
goobers.
found it. Bum-ba-da-bum.
So excited. Stop it.
But yeah, they brought in the torch. This is wonderful. See, I do remember some things. I draw a blank on names today, apparently, but I don't remember how many lanes there were. Blindfolded machine building.
Oh,
All right.
That's
Kyle,
cool.
what do you think of this now?
I appreciate it
Did you understand what was going on last year at all, though?
a little bit.
We'll get
I
to
had
it.
like a slight base understanding of how it worked. It was more so like the nuances and like smaller details that I was trying to understand.
But to do it blindfolded,
Very hard.
second nature.
and tune them up blindfolded, all the things. I don't think I could, I don't know. I don't know. There are definitely some things I think I could do blindfolded, but that is not it. That is too many little baby steps.
Grabbing the wrong washer.
Chris DeWitt, first place. He's from Riot Inc. here in Ohio. Columbus, north
Okay.
of Columbus, Powell, I think, something like that. One of the up north ends of town. So another show that happened recently is the Fort Wayne show.
Oh yeah. I loved the Fort Wayne show. I like it because it's not, there's a lot of shows that I like because it's really busy and loud and it's like a little overstimulating and it's super fun sometimes. But I like to go to shows often. And I think that sometimes that can be a little overstimulating. And this show is like really good quality.
But it's just chill. Like everyone's just there to like do their thing and just hang out. And I really appreciate that. Dave Tavenall did a lot of the work, like the artwork, like that little guy right there. It was really fun. This is the second year I've gone just to hang out at it. And I definitely want to work it next year. I think it's cool. It's a little like slower, like I said, but it's like in a good way. Not so crazy busy.
Like a deliberate,
Yeah, like Jeff got a couple
thoughtful.
walk up tattoo
thoughtfully
boards.
slower.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I really liked it.
Tattoo of the day on Sunday.
Nice. Is that Dave Grohl? It's got to be Everlong for sure. All right. I approve this message.
There you go.
So the other two tattoo of the days were Jeff, and then the second day was Jeff and Flip Shades.
Nice.
Yeah. I did a piece on my friend Ash. He's another tattoo artist that was there.
It's so crazy. I feel like the last few years, it's just hear Jeff's name everywhere
I
all of
know.
a sudden. I mean, maybe
one of
just
them.
in
We
my
fell in
world
love
all
at
of
the
a
Indie
sudden,
Expo.
but fell in love.
We
huh?
fell in love with the Indie Expo. I ran up behind him when he was getting coffee first thing in the morning, and I said, hey man, do those hurt? And he turned around really annoyed, and I was like, and he was like, what? I was like, I just want to get coffee, man. And then we just became homies, and I chase him around and bother him at his home now.
You bother him. You bother him and get him to bless you with
all the
weird
artwork,
art.
yeah.
Super weird.
Oh yeah,
art.
laser my back off so him and Caitlin can do my back. Because he
Nice.
was like, we got to do it. Laser it off. We're about to start my abdomen down to my lady bits. So
Man,
that'll
it's
be,
wild.
I want to
We've
be all.
had many
Yes.
conversations.
I need to do
picnic
it while
table
I'm
about
bold.
this.
While I'm bold and young, and I think it's gonna get worse.
don't
So I
think
just
that
want to
day is
get
gonna come for
all
me.
of them out of the way now. I got my boobs done already. Just get all the bad areas out of the way. About to get my armpits, do all the things, the bad ones. And then I'll just have easy dudes. I'll be like, all right, I guess you can tattoo my thigh. I'm cool with that. Also, I'm just kind of obsessed with collecting from Jeff now. Jeff and Kate, everyone from Golden Yeti, really. They just are a really good experience while I'm getting tattooed. And I hate being tattooed. It hurts really bad. But they make it really fun. And they're like, they work kind of how you would just like in and like all the way in right away. Don't mess around.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
That's one of the things. Like I can dilly dally and I can kill all the time in the
Mhm.
world, but once we like
We're
sit
actually
down
in
and that
skin.
needle goes in skin,
Yeah.
I am like very business, but like when we take a break, and I encourage my clients to do this too, like completely relax. Let
dilly-dally a little
let your
bit, yeah.
body have a break.
Mhm.
Let that anxiety kind of work itself out, or just like I call it coming back to center. Like when I'm really into an intense, painful session, like sometimes that break, I need to like literally just like sit on the ground and reground and recenter myself and like have that pep talk. Like it's gonna be worth it. You know
I
what
have
I
to take
mean?
my alone moment in those, like when it's like really overstimulating. So like I like having those breaks where we take a second. I don't usually get that luxury because I like to be tattooed during conventions by Jeff.
Yeah.
So he says that I have 5 minutes to smoke a blunt because he knows I'm going to take 15. So
He's gonna
He
cut
keeps
it
us
down
on
to
it.
2. He's gonna be like, you can go take 2 puffs.
yeah, I
2
only got
blunts
like
later.
3 breaks during Hell City on my first day. I was like, oh God,
We know this lady.
it is me.
It's so funny. I was sitting and I was scrolling on Instagram, killing time, and I scroll past this little duder, and I was like, "Oh man, Maddie would love that guy so much."
Let's take a moment.
And then I like look closer, and I'm like, "Oh, that's Maddie."
I have to take a drink really quick because I have to talk about this.
Yeah, this is the exact photo I was talking about. I'm scrolling along. I'm like, "Oh man, that's Maddie all day." And then I slide to the next photo, and I was like,
It was
"Oh,
Maddie
hey,
all
Maddie."
day.
So take a moment about the big balls that are bigger than his face. And his little tootsie is caught on the ball sack. He's a Tanuki. He's a river otter Tanuki. My partner's favorite animal is a river otter. So I wanted to get a river otter for him. And Jeff killed it. And he made so originally Jeff showed me this drawing at Hell City while they're destroying my arm. And I thought I was never going to get tattooed ever again. And he was like, look at this little guy. And his little peeper just bobbed up to the top of the water. Like in the bathtub, it just bobs up to the top. And that's what he did. And that was his inspiration. So I'm in love with him, eating his little ramen.
I just want to show you something.
Jeff's
while we're
not allowed to
talking
put
about
any
otters.
more penises on me though. He has put 2 of them on me now. And I think we're think that's our cap on that. He changed it up because he knew that it was going to be on me. So he made it a little bit. Oh, stop it. Listen, Harry's trying to be best friends with that man. They just exchanged phone numbers to go get meatloaf sandwiches together.
Ben is saved in my phone as Otterpaw. I was just showing that.
I'm obsessed.
That otters seem to be a running theme through our friend group.
Yep.
They are pretty stinking cool. They are. Everybody's got like their own reason to be attached to them too. But this
Harry
guy,
told me his favorite reason. The reason he got it, he's like, the reason that otters are my favorite animal, and river otters specifically, is because in my lifetime I'll be able to see one. And I was like, that's a very realistic goal of you.
do you guys go, does it go kayaking?
No, I love kayaking. He's not gone with me, but he is taking me to a river otter like sanctuary where we get to like hold them. He damn near was in tears showing me this video of this river otter sanctuary. He was like, "This is a thing we can do."
I'm just saying, like, you'll see them around here.
I know that's
Like,
why he's from Ohio.
Away.
No, he's from Ohio. That's why he chose it. He's like, because they're in Ohio, and I'll probably see one in my lifetime.
Right. But like, if we just went kayaking to some of the places I go, like, I'm not saying you see one or a family of them every time, but like every 2 or 3
You would
times
make
you're gonna
his
see
whole
some.
life if you
Yeah, we
just
might have
casually
to go yakking like 2 or 3 times, but like
I'm
we're
into
gonna
it.
see them. Like you see them. You see eagles, you see herons.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, I love
you see
herons.
them,
Mhm.
especially like maybe not so much on the more touristy rivers, but my sister happens to be a kayaking enthusiast, so she has
Which is
5
cute.
or 6. Brittany, she has like 5 or 6 kayaks. 4 of them can fit inside of my van at a time, and 3 on top. Just saying. So well, the nice thing is my sister has a large vehicle. I have my van, so she can drop them off at one point and I can be parked at the next. So like there are so many slow moving rivers around here that we can just drop in anywhere.
Perfect.
Between like here and Marion, where we're both coming and going from all the time. There's
Cool.
several points that we could drop in that are like, you know, we actually usually start and noodling upstream because the current's very slow and chill most of the time. So we noodle upstream, and then when we feel like turning around, we just turn around and go back and take our time going back. But it's like so slow moving that my nieces and nephew are usually like in the water playing and
Aw.
swimming next to the kayaks,
Yeah.
and like they'll climb onto and around us. And so like it's, you know, they've been to Florida, so I think they appreciate being able to like get
Just
in the
hang
water
out,
and
yeah.
not have to worry about gators or
Right.
like, you know, Florida stuff.
Mhm.
Anacondas.
No,
No.
I don't think I like to play in water other places, really. Water kind of freaks me out anyway. But I
Well,
love tattooing those creepy little critters.
the creepy
Mhm.
critters.
Yeah, anything from the ocean is my favorite thing to tattoo, but I'm terrified of the ocean. So when I first started smoking, it was during COVID.
Mhm.
So all I did was watch ocean documentaries. And we know way more about space than we do the ocean. And that freaks me out.
Does it?
There's lots of very weird little goobers under the ocean that I'm not into it. But I am a little bit, but like from a distance. Same thing with birds from a distance.
I saw this article earlier today. It was one of those like long Instagram posts on one of my, I think it's on Nerd Snacks is the page that it was on. Anyways, it's credible with a name like that.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
anyways, they're kind of like rethinking gravity,
Oh,
because like the theory of gravity as like we understand it and how like Einstein worked with it and all the advances is based on a theory from like the 1640s.
mhm.
So we've come a long way and we understand things a little bit differently. So there are researchers that are kind of like thinking differently about gravity, and it's potentially the way to understand how like black holes work.
Okay.
It's one of those, if they rethink this, it may kind of change the way we think about a lot of things.
Well, I mean, we know aliens exist now, so there's a lot of things that we can rethink that way too when it comes to space. What have views?
So I heard this theory. We're
Yeah.
jumping down a rabbit hole. It's not
sorry.
real tattoo related,
It's
which
okay.
is fine.
I
We do
tattoo a
this.
lot of aliens.
We do this.
Not them specifically, but I tattoo pictures of them. But I would love to tattoo an alien.
But this was just like one of those random like podcast reels that popped up on my Instagram as I was like late night surfing trying to fall asleep. And one of the theories is that like, yes, there are aliens and they're coming and checking up on us and But the thought is, what if we're a protected species? So it's like they can look but don't touch.
We're pets.
Or like delicate ferns that are like, I don't know,
That's cute. I
I
like
don't
that a
know.
lot.
That's a pretty optimistic way to think of it, that we're a protected species. But the thing is, we were protected from the damage we're doing to ourselves. That's the
Yeah.
other side of the theory.
So like, gosh, you little silly billers. It's like we're
"Oh,
getting weeds. It's like, hey, quit it.
you guys are cute, but you're about to obliterate yourselves again. Kind of uplifting, kind of not when you look at
Yeah.
it at the bigger picture. But anyways, there's some cool like science thoughts going
Yeah.
around. I want to kind of jump down the gravity rabbit hole a little bit
Please
more. I'd
do.
love to
Yeah.
kind of like nerd out about that because I've
Yeah.
always had this like sneaking suspicion that gravity doesn't work the way that we think it works. Like I think my intuition leads me to believe that it's some other kind of force field, not like static, not like a magnet, but like something of that nature, like some other energetic force field. And maybe that's like the consciousness. Like, I don't know.
Right.
I haven't even played with chemistry in forever either. Can you imagine if I was like thinking these thoughts while I was being aided by any kind of chemistry? Oof. Anyways, that was a fun rabbit
I want to
hole.
go down that rabbit hole some more with you when we have time.
Talking about aliens, gravity,
Yes,
physics,
Woo.
possibilities. I don't know. It's all theories upon theories upon theories. And that always fascinates me because as our understanding changes, as our understanding changes, we have to be able to like think back and readjust. You know what I mean? And it takes very open-minded people to do that. And it's hard to like get those open minds together to really, you know, get the work in
Yeah.
to like change things just because like the masses are going to believe what they already believe, you know.
Mhm.
But one time the world was flat. Some people still believe it is. It's okay.
Might be again one day. Maybe it is
It
now.
could be that, you know, maybe, you know what, maybe that's like the evolution. Maybe it's like this, like if you could imagine
little
like,
bubble.
yeah, like it's like a disc that's like wah, 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 wah,
I like
wah,
that
wah,
idea.
wah. So it's not like this perfectly round
Oh, yeah.
thing, but like maybe that's why global warming and things are happening because like
This
it's
guy's just hanging
squishing.
out. He's just
It's
dancing.
squishing, turn it into
Yeah.
like a little like frisbee golf disc, a froth, if you will.
Yeah,
A
froth it up.
disc.
Yeah, and that's clouds.
All right. All right. Well, my intuition tells me that's not how it works, but who am I?
Well, we'll give space for it.
Who am I? Yeah, I'm definitely giving space for it. I'm just going off intuition here. So you want to talk about your experiences at Fort Wayne? Getting tatties?
Yes,
Getting
please.
tatty blasted?
Well, I always hate being tattooed. Let's start there. I love the way it looks. I love the way it's done. I appreciate the art. And during like being tattooed, I'm always like, this hurts. And I'm like, but I'm really sorry. And I appreciate you so much. And I'm sorry that I'm whining. It's going to be so cool. Jeff is very efficient. So we got in there and we started packing all those blues and like, I don't know, time got away from me. But he like there's so much blue in the tattoo, but it doesn't look like there's too much blue. And it's, I don't know, it's just, it didn't overrun anything. And I really appreciate that. Yeah, I have a lot of pieces from him as well that I have sent over too, we can show. But yeah, he kind of just showed me that design at Hell City. We decided that we are going to knock it out for my birthday. So that's my birthday to me. It took us 8 hours. That one was my first one from him. Him and Caitlin. Caitlin to the bottom. Caitlin Campbell.
Look at those disgusting teeth.
Yucky. Just disgusting.
And then the cute little carrot cake.
Oh yeah.
Aw.
And they just said, what's your favorite animal and your favorite food? And I was like, okay, here you go.
So you know how on Lilo and Stitch is experiment 626 and there's like 627. This has got to be like
One of them.
624,
Yeah.
625, like for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah. Look at his
And
little.
his cousin. Oh, sorry to.
Oh no, you're good. But yeah, this guy's Benny. He's watering his house plant, his little pot plant, and he's kind of like smoking his little joint. And then Caitlin at the bottom. We're gonna add to this and actually do like a tooth fairy alien on the inside of my arm. It's pretty cool. Oh, but we won best today for my little river otter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your award-winning collection.
Thank you. I got 2. Look, that's the man, the beauty,
I love the food in his
Glory.
beard. It's perfect.
full glory. Yeah. I talk about Jeff a lot too every time I'm on here, I feel like, because he's definitely been a big help for just the growth in my artwork. Just me more confident in drawing and just like, I don't know, just letting my style come out instead of trying to be like so perfectionist about it.
Is it weird if I rest my foot on
Please
your
do.
chair?
I'm kind of like kneed all the way over to your knee anyway.
Well, we're sitting
It's
kind
kinda
of close,
cute.
but I like this angle. This isn't bad for
Very
us. It seems
nice.
pretty comfortable.
Yeah,
You can't
good.
see the mess we have in front of us.
There's no mess. We're great.
Very professional.
Yeah.
Very professional.
Yeah.
Uh,
Smells of fresh cavicide right here, right now. We cleaned it all.
all of it.
Mhm.
But it, you know, it's really cool when you like cross that threshold with your artist, where as a tattooer, like not only do we get to have that like connection to the artist who's giving us art and that those memories, but we get to learn from the artists that we choose to work on us.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's where, you know, I think there can almost be a shamanic bond between any artist and their collector. But I feel like, especially with like somebody who is like fresh and wanting to learn and level up and like just get all the tricks and know all the things, I think getting tattooed by the people you look up to is probably the best way
Oh,
to
yeah.
like learn.
That's why I'm constantly
Um,
being tattooed.
Every now and then I consider my tattoo collection like my master's degree in tattooing,
Mhm.
because, you know, I definitely choose artists who, you know, they definitely align with like where my like imagination is.
Like you said, they come from the same world, I feel like.
Yeah, you've had Adam work
definitely
on
come from
you.
the same world. Yeah.
So Adam's the first artist I had that I actually like had that like, oh yeah, after doing my leg, you can like, if you just
Yeah.
get a cool idea, like
Let me
you-
know.
yeah, like, or if like I, you know, that this body part needs tattooed and you're the one I trust to do
Oh,
it,
yeah.
you know, like
He outlined my 1 foot to like shin bit, and I was like, cool, yeah, you're doing the other one now. Like, we're not even done. We're nowhere near close to being done. We're doing so much on that side. And I was like, yep, saving that side for you so I can have little
Mhm.
fairy boots.
Yep.
Because it was just such a cool, I hate getting tattooed, and I was a big baby and he was so great about it again. But he was just watching him, how he outlined things and like being able to stare at it now and see how he
Mhm.
mapped stuff out and like how he felt where things were going to go to make sure that it like laid nice.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. It was a really cool experience. And I feel like that was something I took from that. And that was one of the
Mhm.
reasons I want to get tattooed by you.
Yeah,
Want to get tattooed by
there's a lot
Dante,
of
you know,
like
it's
super
pretty cool.
distinctive tricks that I have and use every day that if it wasn't for being able to watch Adam firsthand work on me, and not only like watch him do the work, which
Mhm.
we get to see when we work on each other, but I got
Yeah.
to watch it heal.
Right.
So like when you see a fresh tattoo and sometimes there's like cross hatching and needle marks in it, and
Mhm.
you can kind of see like the mag marks. What I learned, and this was like one of many things that I
Right.
learned, but one of the things that I learned was like there's magic in the heal. Like once you like understand how these colors are going to settle as they heal and how they're going to settle with one another, they become different, new, beautiful textures. And when that new texture is cohesive and works with everything else and it's throughout the piece, it's like, okay, all right, well, that makes perfect sense. Because there, you know, there were some areas where at first I thought it needed like a second pass, but once it healed, it was like,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
all right, you wizard. I see what you did there. So that's one of those things where when you have somebody that you really look up to, you know, that's somebody whose work you're going to be somewhat emulating anyway, or they're somewhat in the same ballpark of the
Right.
work you're wanting to do. I feel like it just makes that it just makes that connection so much stronger. And then not only that connection, but the trust between the two of you, because like it does, you know, I will always, my entire career, I'll look up to Adam. Like,
Right.
no matter what my accomplishments are, what I'm doing, I'm always going to look up to him. And I'm always going to be grateful because like, not only did he give me this work, but he took the time to like share with me what he was doing and why, and be like,
Right.
hey, here's this new thing that I learned. And he
Right.
would share new tricks that he was learning from Guy before Guy and I ever knew one another. You know, Adam was having a leg sleeve his leg sleeve done by Guy at the same time I was getting my leg sleeve done by Adam. So he was like deliberately scheduling my appointments right
cool.
after
So,
his
like,
trips
play around
to
with those
see Guy.
tricks.
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
could play around with the tricks, and then he could just like reiterate the new stuff that he learned. And my leg is like a little bit more organic than a lot of Adam's work. A lot of
Mhm.
it's very robotic. It
Yeah.
still looks like functional and alive, but my leg in particular has a lot of I guess the words that I gave him at our consultation was like, if you could look at like plant cells and flower cells like under an electron microscope,
Oh, that's
where
cool.
like you lose track of whether it's plant or bone, or you can tell it's an organic shape, and you can tell that it's growing. And it was one of those things where it all, I wanted it to be like functional and cohesive but look like alive. So I think with some of those keywords, it kind of like threw Adam into a little bit different of a realm. But a lot of his paintings and stuff are that way. So I think it was just kind of a special experience to like be lucky enough to collect from somebody that like, that's the kind of stuff I want to do. That's the
Yeah.
kind of stuff I want to make. And I feel like it's so similar, like the relationship that you have with Jeff and Caitlin.
Oh,
It's like,
absolutely.
every time you come back from a trip to see them, you're so excited about
Yeah.
the new things you learned, or like, oh man, this thing about color, or, there's always like 12 or 15 new things that you're like super stoked to
Oh, my
share.
tattoos always look so much like more refined. I feel like every time I go and hang out with
Mm-hmm.
them, he unintentionally became a mentor, I feel like. And now I just want to collect all of his artwork and see everything. I constantly look at his and kind of reference like certain things that he does. Where I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I don't need to do such a thick line right there. I guess I could play around with it. It just made me look at things differently.
Mhm.
And then just talking with him and everyone at the
this is
shop.
Wizard Adam's work.
That was actually the piece that inspired my leg. So I saw that and it felt very new school, but also very bio. And I had just fallen in love with bio after Hell City. And I was like, listen, I think we need to do something. So now we're going to have all these fun little critters like that on my legs. So I'm excited. I think he said this it just got shipped off to its new home. I'm going to miss looking at it.
Super cool.
Ugh.
And that thing's been coming together over the last few months.
I'm excited to see the next one that comes in.
Yeah, me too.
What future projects do you have coming up? I know you've talked a little bit about your future tatty ideas.
To be on myself or
To be on you, the things that you and Jeff have been brainstorming about. Let's talk about your elaborate consultation. Now that you and Jeff have like crossed the barrier of being fully comfortable with one another.
How it started.
I mean, for the record, I crossed some weird barriers, like having to be that comfortable and open with Russ. Like, and he was nothing but a pure gentleman all the time, but I'm a pretty
Right.
modest person. So to be like, I'm a tattooer. I understand how like, I don't want to say like frustrating, but it can be frustrating, like fighting, moving somebody's panties up and down when you're
Right.
doing a high hip piece, or like you're moving their shorts or bathing suit.
Right.
Because like, not only for you as an artist is
Like
there this thing
introducing
that's like
fabric and stuff.
obstructing your view, but like it can't be comfortable for them to have their panties or shorts or whatever sitting on the fresh tattoo and being leaned on and all of that as you're working. So like I just made the conscious decision that I was just going to like, you know what? It's a married man. It's nothing he hasn't seen before. I'm just going to like swallow my modesty because I want this to be the easiest for him as my artist.
Right.
So, that trust barrier was broken pretty quickly. But then along with that, Russ is one of those people that like deliberately teaches as much as he can with the people that are on his team. Like, he's always, like a teacher, like, come on in here. I want you all to see this. Or, he'll have like a few of the artists that he'll be like, I want to show you this. And like, for instance, for me, it was right after a launch pad event. It was in downtown Atlanta. And then afterwards, Tofi from Poland stayed behind, and they did I'm combining two different stories.
Okay.
that was the polarizing story. For my back, he invited everybody in to see how he was going to lay the giant stencil, because my back is symmetric in like all directions. So the stencil had to be laid in one piece, but it also had to fit the curves of me. And like, there's a lot of curves when you're going from the top of your shoulders, like all the way to the bottom of the butt cheeks.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, there's a lot of rib real estate that wrapped around. So like I learned a lot from that. I treat my stencils totally different when I lay them now, and they're so much more successful. But I had to like consciously make the decision to swallow my modesty just for him to give that lesson. So,
Yeah.
you know, but in no time, you know, it's one of those things where like when you're at like a quality tattoo shop, like, you know, everything is done with dignity.
Right.
You know, it's almost like clinical. Like we've all seen the naked body parts, especially as artists. We've all been in those weird situations where like, oh, she flopped out. Whatever you want to imagine that was like, go tuck that back in. Like,
I
oh,
think
or leave it out.
Why
Whatever.
I feel comfortable with Jeff about it is just because we're both so new school artists a lot of times.
Mhm.
All the ones I've met, I've hung out with, we're a little bit kind of teenage boys, a little bit. No matter
Kinda.
what your gender is.
Only kind of
No matter
teenage
what your
boys.
gender
You're
is,
definitely
You're a
kind of a
boy.
teenage boy.
Absolutely. And that's all right. I'm cool with it. But so like when we did my under boob, which we have a picture of that too, or a video actually. We did, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Okay.
We did a video where we drew on the gnome originally with him like smoking a blunt and just chilling. And then we did a titty drop video where I just slammed my boob down really hard. So it smushed him, and then we did the reveal was this video of me lifting him up, which this one not specifically, but like you can see his dick exploded. He's a gnome and he's exploded under my boob. And we were both just cackling, dude. We got a B-reel from his wife. She like took a video of us like watching,
Did
like
that ever
slamming it down, and
Did
then
that ever get made into
no,
a reel
I needed
yet?
to push him on it. But I like slammed it down, and then we like immediately run over, and I had his face, like his sticker of his face on my boob. So it bounced, and it was just Jeff's face bouncing. We're teenage boys. So when that happened, I was like, that's hilarious. And I had told him, like, because you're in the hot tub talking about it, I was like, I always wanted to put like a squish gnome under my boob. I think that'd be hilarious. And I was like, I want you to do that. And he's like, we're doing it
She
tomorrow.
was so stoked when she got back. She's like, you
guys want to see my dick?
like,
But he was like, all right, we got to do it. And he's like, can his dick be out? I was like, absolutely. I get it. It's an underboob tattoo. That's supposed to be funny. Let's go. And my favorite part was he looks at me and he goes, I'm going to draw this dick from an angle that most people don't attempt. And I said, I love that. So it's from the underside. We have the picture or the video. Yeah, you already did it, but it's really cute. I wish we had just like a still picture of it, but he's really cute and really shiny and hilarious. But after that, I was like, I'm super comfortable with you now, because he didn't make it too serious, but also was super respectful. I didn't feel like in any way we were looking at it from a sexual way. It was all just like, man, we're just bros being dudes. Just I'm just gonna move your titty real quick. Like it just wasn't weird. We watched the Scary Movie while he did it,
nice.
which was not good for me because I'm really soft already getting tattooed. I was like, I can't. But it was great. I'm obsessed. So now he wants to do crevice creatures. So we're going to do one on the other side. It's going to be a little pixie that's squish. But then I said, listen, ultimate crevice. We have the inside of my inner thigh, like between the lady bits and the thigh.
Inner thigh.
The
The
inner crevice. Okay. The
inner.
unseen crevice. And we're going to, I was like, listen, man, because if I move my leg, that's a good, that could happen with a squish, like a big long, blah. So I was like, that's awesome. It has to happen. But the issue is I want a full suit when I'm done. So I want everything covered. So I told him, eventually I do want all of it covered, but I'm okay with just doing those creases because he wants to do a lot of them and have crevice creatures. He like wants to do a whole thing about it. And I'm just going to let him do all my crevices so that he can have fun little critters. Because we're best friends. But yeah, so I was like, well, I do want it to go on to the bits, and he kind of just stared at me for a minute, just kind of like thinking. And I was like, like, you don't have to go like whatever you're comfortable with. Like, it doesn't have to go all the way on, but like, as far as you want to go and like, however you want to do that. And I started kind of backpedaling. Like, I wasn't sure if I made him uncomfortable, And then he goes, how much of the original shape do we have to keep? And I was like, I
okay, we're on the same page right now. The last consultation we had about it, he goes, how fuckable does it have to be still? And I said, no teeth. It cannot be teeth
No
at
teeth.
all. No, and it can't be super scary, but it can be goofy. And we can put little guys down there, whatever we want to do, but it's fine. You can go crazy. And I don't ever tell him exactly what I want. I just go, hey, here's the world it lives in. Here's an idea of the things I like. No limits, do what you want to do. And it always comes out great. It's the best pieces. So I just am always going to do that. And I feel confident enough in his artwork. I mean, he just Sharpies it on me. I feel confident enough with everything he's doing and the work that he's done and the work he's done on me that like, I don't feel weird about that. Like he told me, I'm going to draw it onto some panties so you can wear it around a little bit and see if you like it. But he messaged me right after my thigh and he was like, all right, let's do, what are we doing next? I want to get started on the next project. He's like, you getting that back lasered? Like, where are we at? I was like, well, I do want to do my stomach because I have never felt comfortable with my stomach. And I don't think it's the like weight necessarily. It's just a big, large, fleshy bit that I have to look at. And it like just hangs out like all my clothes are just white, stark white belly. And I just am not into it. So I do want to get my stomach done. And that's a perfect segue into the lady bits that he's already wanting to do. So I think we're probably going to start lower tummy lady bits.
Crazy.
I want to get it done. I just want it to be done.
Crazy. I would never discourage anybody from doing it.
But
However,
I know that he
not
will be
really.
there. He said we can do as many sessions as you want. We can take as many breaks, as much back team. Like I know this is going to be sucky, but like it's going to be really cool when it's done. So we both have that mentality of like, this is going to fucking suck. You know that I'm not going to sit. I can't guarantee that it's going to be amazing. I'm not going to need a couple minutes, especially in like the inner bits. I've been waxed before. It's not comfortable. So we're definitely going to use numbing cream and whatever. And normally I don't use any numbing cream,
In reality,
but
I don't think it would hurt worse than being waxed.
bro, maybe because I feel like getting waxed does feel very similar, but that like inner crevice bit that he's going to be full saturating, it's never fun to get waxed. So I don't know that I'm going to love that, but I mean, yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm very excited.
I'm going to
about
wish
it.
you luck when the time
Thanks.
comes.
Yeah. His wife said he'd want you to hold my hand. So
It's
I've
good,
got
you
a
know.
support system, you know.
That is an important
Yeah.
factor.
Yeah, she was like, I got you. Well, she was taking the viewer, like I said, of me dropping my titty and then us both laughing about it. It's like the funniest video. I love her more than most people, I think. She's one of my favorites. She actually does some tattoo stuff that I could talk about. She actually does like she's like an assistant, and because of all the different shows that Jeff goes to, it's pretty easy for her to like add another artist to that list to send stuff in and be able to get into shows and just have somebody who like runs your books. Also, she sets up your hotels with like for when you're going to get there. Like she does the whole
Like
thing for you.
manager, travel agent.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like a monthly like thing, I think, or something like that. I'll have to send you all of her information about it. But yeah. Amanda
pretty cool.
Bernard. Yeah.
Nice.
But she's great. I think eventually I'm gonna have her help me because there's certain like big shows, like if I wanted to go to Italy or something, I have big anxiety about trying to like make sure I'm in the right spot. And they've already been there. They already go to that show. So it wouldn't be hard for me. And I'd have somebody there. It's really cool. They're just a great family. Oh, and then Talon is their son. And we have to talk about him because he shows up to every convention and he is like, he's that dude. He plays Uno with me the whole time I get tattooed on my
Nice.
phone. Yes. And he's gonna be an artist when he grows up, I think. I'm pushing it.
I was just gonna say it's wonderful to travel with other people who are traveled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I love traveling with somebody who's like I've traveled a lot, but I love traveling with somebody who's traveled a lot more than me because I
Right.
can just like go on autopilot and be
Yeah.
like I'm just gonna follow their intuition. Like I'm gonna pay attention because like sometimes like you could miss a sign or
Right.
something like that. But like usually it's like, okay, what's the plan? All right, I'm following
Cool.
you.
You're a lead,
What
man.
are we looking for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
like
I don't think that I can
can
handle just going
kinda-
without somebody who
it's
is that
almost like
smart.
I can co-pilot. I can just like even though I'm totally fine to figure things out on my own, it's nice when I can just like, oh, you've been to this airport before? Cool. I'll just follow you because I'm not gonna waste my time figuring it out if you already know.
Have you seen the TikToks? This goes like, so there's those people. So it's like the person that knows, and then you're the co-pilot, right? And then there's like the person in the backseat, right? Have you seen those TikToks where it's the girl that's like, me and autopilot at the airport because my husband knows exactly where we're going and I don't have to think right now. I do sometimes maybe default there, but it's because I'm just living in a little world in my noggin all the time. I have to come back down. I'm always just kind of like goobing out.
I
need to
joked
come
around
back.
recently that it's nice when I can turn off my critical thinking. Like, oh, I don't have to do that part of the
Oh yeah. It's nice
all right,
living here.
brain.
I'm like,
Let's roll along for the ride. Let's count floor tiles. Let's take note of what color changes the mood as we transcend
take a
through
look at
this
some
corridor.
clouds.
My
fun.
go-to is counting the amount of holes in the ceiling,
I get
Oh,
it.
wow.
drop ceilings.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I count my steps sometimes when I'm just like lollygagging.
Yeah.
You know?
I
It's
like it.
the
don't like
opposite
to
of
think-
stressing. I'm like, la, da, da,
I like
da.
a
Oh, we
default
gotta
more
go
than
this way.
that, where you're just kind of like walking around and you're like, man, that's a cool idea. Like that's where I start to think about my paintings and stuff. Is when I'm at the grocery store and I'm just kind of like, yeah, that's gonna be kind of cool. That's a funny looking cheese. What if I did that with that? You know, that's where I'm at. I'm not really like counting anything or worried about much. I'm kind of like, that's a silly looking grapefruit. You know, like
At the airport, you'll see like the random vending machines. Like, huh, you can get JBLs from a vending machine? Who knew?
nice. Sick. Yeah, I'm gonna go get them. Go a little further. I'm gonna buy them. I'm gonna see how they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Well,
makeup vending machine. I found that last time. I was like, that's silly. I love it.
yeah. So that's the nice thing about traveling with somebody like knows where they're going, what they're
Yeah.
doing. Yeah. Like, how do I read this boarding pass? What? I'll just follow you. We're on
Mhm.
we're on the same flight. I'll just
I
follow
always
you.
do the thing where I'm like, okay, I have to immediately find where I'm supposed to be because I'm so stressed and I've already like taken the edible. And I need to make sure that I'm at the gate and ready to go. So I just want to draw and sit there.
So whenever I fly, I try not to fly on an empty stomach, but like I'm not a person that eats breakfast really early in the day. Like
Mhm.
usually I make my smoothie at like 11 o'clock or noon, and that's kind of breakfast. I don't really have an appetite before that. And I like,
That's usually
but
right.
anyways, I also get motion sickness, and I'm the person that gets car sick if I look at
Mhm.
my phone twice, or if I'm in the back seat or somebody hits the brakes a little
Same.
too hard and my anxiety goes through the roof. I get car sick. I get motion sickness. So I gotta have like just the right amount and and I like to like, I'm a little bit of a procrastinator, but when I travel, I actually like to lollygag. I don't like to rush. I like to be early enough that I can just hem haul my way and like,
I like hem haul. That's a good word.
yeah, I like to
Yeah.
hem haul like in the right direction, like,
Mhm.
productively lollygag.
Mhm. Lollygag's one of the words that I use to describe myself a lot.
A
It's my favorite.
lollygagger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like to like just take
Or
my
no,
time to get
dilly
there.
dally. That's the one I'll say. Dilly
But
dally.
I like to that's my biggest challenge is finding the right thing to eat in whatever airport
Mhm.
I'm at. That like, okay, this is if I get queasy, this will be fine. I don't want to actually like get nauseous.
I
Like,
can't eat before at all. I just do a edible and I
it
just
doesn't happen every time
just
I
do a little
fly.
gummy.
It's just there's a possibility that it could.
I just always am nauseous. So that's just not something that I'm trying to play around with. Now, the last time I went on a plane, I don't drink ever, but I was peer pressured and I did
To
drink
drinking?
on a plane. I drank a lot of little wines. I kept hopping seats.
Definitely had a drink on the plane. I've never gotten drunk on a plane.
Listen, it doesn't take much for me. So I was like,
That's fair. Like there's 3 of these.
and then I was just kind of like bouncing seats and like, you can't do that. And I was like, okay, well, I have to get back up to go to the other one. So is it not safe? You know, like
You're that
a
passenger.
little bit.
You're
Only
that
when I was
passenger.
drinking, I don't normally, I'm usually chilling beans. I'm just chili beans, have my little edible, listen to my podcast I downloaded.
So do we want to talk about Jeff and Caitlin some more?
Yes, please, always.
What do you want to talk about? Tell me more.
What do you think? Oh, I know they're about to travel. They're going to a
Where
convention.
are them going?
Let me look real quick. Oop. Oh, his wife posted it and he didn't, because that makes sense to my brain. Okay. She
Too
keeps
fast.
everyone
Go,
updated.
go. Go. The
Stop,
pressure's
stop,
on.
stop,
The
stop,
pressure's
stop.
on. No pressure.
Going.
No pressure. No pressure.
Oh man, she posted it and now it's gone. So sorry, I lied to you. You can't know. Wish you could.
They
Wish you
do hit
could
a lot
know.
of shows though.
I think I don't want to say the wrong thing. Oops, sorry, friend. I think she said California, but I might be wrong. They're just in Salem. They were visiting Gabe.
nice. Nice. Ooh. Gabe Blondis.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to do a little trip there at some point.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love whenever I run into Gabe and Leanne. They're
Just
just
so sweet. I got to see them
Leanne
at
tries
Fort
to feed
Wayne.
me tequila every time.
Yeah.
It's okay. I like,
She's fun. I love
she's
her. Yeah.
persuasive. She's like, oh, come on. It'll just get you drunk. Come on.
Yeah. Her and Danny were bad influences at Fort Wayne.
Hell City every year, they always get us out in Phoenix. Tequila?
I will never drink in front of this group ever. And it's not because I like actors or I'm just real silly and it's just too much. I just don't need it.
It's too much. Do you get silly?
I'm already goofy. I don't need that. Mm-mm. I just act like I'm very like, you're so beautiful. And I just act really goofy. I just don't
I'm
want that.
trying
I
to
climb.
imagine. Have I been drunk? And I don't know. Well, there was the one time that wasn't around a work group though. There was one
Mm-mm.
time earlier this year that I really hurt myself by accident with tequila.
Oh no.
It's a rough next day.
I embarrass
It's rough.
myself sober in front of Derb. I don't need to drink at all.
But before that, I can't remember the last time that I got drunk. I don't know. Like
I don't like it.
I smoke. That's my
Yeah.
thing. I do the reefers. I don't really, I mean, I have liquor at my house. I have like a nice little whiskey collection. I've got tequila, a couple different varieties.
Oh, I
Got-
collect alcohol. I have
I've
lots
got
of really expensive
vodka.
whiskey. I just
Yeah.
don't drink it all. I got a mocktail. We went to Otherworld.
I got some like craft beers and ciders that are in my little wine cellar that I need to throw out because they've been in there for like 2.5 years. Like those
I
aren't
love
even
craft beer.
good
Get good beer every
anymore.
time. I don't really drink,
So-
like it's not my thing, but like
That's how
whiskey
much
and
of a
beer are the
non-drinker
two
I
that
am.
all we have lots of fancy whiskey from like we go to whiskey festivals and stuff sometimes.
I have this bottle of Blanton's that I've been like sipping on for like literally a few years. And there's like just a tiny bit left, like maybe 2 shots. I don't know if I'm going to finish it anytime soon, but it would make a cool little enclosed terrarium with maybe like some
Cute.
snails and water plants. And I've had the
You-
idea. I just need to make it
Do
happen.
you like in terrariums? Can you
Yeah.
help me build one?
Yeah.
Cool. Maybe we can do a segment on building terrariums. This is artsy.
You know, I feel like this topic comes up in conversation. Back when Jordan got his saltwater tank, we talked,
Mhm.
and the fish tank was the backdrop for a while for one of
Mhm.
our camera angles. Like I'd get lost like while we were live watching the watching the coral reef as it was growing.
His
and
corals are
watching
so
the
cool.
little
Ugh.
the conch, the little foot come out and his little googly eyes. Takes me back.
The little shrimp.
Yeah, one of my tanks, I'm
Shrimps.
down to 2 fish in one of my tanks, so I can put some other little schooling fish in there. I need to go check out some of the fish stores. It's only a 5-gallon.
I'll go with
So it's
fishing
a
with you.
little pipsqueak of a tank, so but it's super well planted, like to the point where like I just feed them because like, oh, I feel like I should feed you, but everything's so well balanced and there's so much plant life
They
in
don't
there
need
and
it.
everything's
That's so
cycling
cool.
through like, the water stays balanced. Like all I do is add water to them. So they're like almost self-sustaining, which is a pretty cool little
Yeah. How long have you had
nerdy
it?
milestone. Like 3 years.
That's cool.
So they're nerdy, fun little like achievements. But the one that's in the water bottle, that's probably my favorite one. That like you shouldn't be able to have a fish tank with like a 1-inch opening and an enclosed bottle. And that one's pretty awesome. It's got 2 little schools of fish in it.
That's
2 different
cool.
kinds of tetras. And this Amazon sword that's like on its 3rd cycle. So it'll grow big and tall and like completely fill the jar up. And the jar is like green and glowing because I have a light on it all the time. And then those leaves slowly like, use up their chlorophyll and they gradually turn into these lace leaves. And I watch my little snails just break those down. And then you see all the new leaves growing up. And each time, like the new leaves, there's like twice as many. So I do notice that this time they're growing a little bit slower, but maybe that's because should I add a couple more fish?
Yes. Oh, you want fish? Oh, I
It's
also
only
just
6
remembered I like
gallons.
got high
I-
segues and forgot about what we're actually even doing on my belly. And we didn't even talk about what I was actually going to even do on it.
Oh, well, tell us.
Yeah, I just forgot. And I was like, just what you doing? Okay. So I just told him enchanted forest. The last time we talked, he said he was thinking glowy mushrooms. And then we had to have the conversation of like, because you have to think about things when you put them on a lady bit. You know what I mean? Like not just everything can go there. And I was like, let's stay away from certain colors of glowing mushrooms. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to look like I have something. I want it to be cute.
Not green,
No.
like maybe like purple,
Yeah. Maybe
Blue.
not so much blood. Lots of
blue,
bright pinks.
purple, blue, purple, blue.
I don't necessarily want to be all blue though, because that's another joke, and I just don't need that either. Like, I'm just trying to be safe. You know what I mean?
Purple, teal, purple, just purple.
Probably pink and purple.
I don't know, man.
We have lots of purples.
I think he's always a green guy. Green and that fucking tropical teal. It's tropical teal is gonna be in there for sure.
Bermuda blue.
It's tropical teal. Every time he says make the hand bigger, add tropical teal. And that's why I added, or we have one of the pictures or the tattoos I did. It's my little gremlins guy. And I made his hand one hand bigger and put tropical teal. I went and bought tropical teal to do it, just so I could post about how you would make one hand bigger and add tropical teal to make your tattoo perfect. He says it all the time. And the way me and Amanda were joking about it in the comments, but like one of the 10 commandments,
No, this I
make the
remember
hand
you did
bigger
this one.
and add tropical teal. I did it, but added it my way. I made it like a hazy, glowy guy.
Yes, ma'am.
So fun.
Looking good. I love that guy.
Thank you.
Gremlins was one of those coming up when I was a little kid. That was you never get your Magpie wet after midnight. There's a scene
He's
where
so
they
cute.
fall in the swimming pool
Mhm.
and just like
Yeah, I love it. And then because I did that one, I also right after drew up a little Slimer. And I did that on Jess's knee. 'Cause I was trying to
Jess is
stick with the
getting
theme.
tatted
She is getting
lately.
tatted.
She is.
we're gonna. I shared some work of her other project. Did you share your Slimer? Cool.
Yeah, right there. Cool. My little goober on her knee. So when she bends her knee, it makes his belly real fat. It's so cute.
Later on we'll share what Amber Joy and I started
yeah.
on.
I've got
the
it
back of
loaded
our
up
leg.
if you want
Yeah,
to
let's
just talk
we,
that now,
we can jump into it now if you want.
Mhm.
since we're talking about Jess's
So
collection.
beautiful.
So
She
this
looks
is
so
this
tattooed
is
now.
the True Tattoo Supply manager. So she's like a super passionate collector, not a tattooer, but like she's been around it enough that she knows just as much as most tattooers. She's going hard in the paint.
Mhm.
I lost track of how many hours we were working on her, but we're looking at one more session and this will be finished. So we're
So
2 sessions
beautiful.
in. Yep. This is really a cool project. I always wanted to work with Amber because she does like these fantasy portraits and I do fantasy landscapes.
Yeah.
And I just always thought it was like the perfect mix of imaginations, like same realm, different, like concentrating on different parts of that realm.
Yeah.
So anyways, Kyle has an
So
announcement.
I'm apprenticing.
Kyle used to always get introduced as the apprentice hopeful on all the
That's so
reinventing
cute.
shows and networks. Kyle,
So I've stepped up in
the
life.
apprentice hopeful. So do you want to talk a little bit about what you've been doing? What's the apprenticeship entails so far?
It has been a lot of like hand movements, training that, lots of like circles and lines, pulling straight lines and everything. Tracing some flash books, doing some research on tattoo history. We did coil machines today, breaking them down, rebuilding them. So
Do you know how few young tattooers know anything about coil machines?
I heard a lot of them don't know anything.
A lot of them don't. And the funny thing is most tattooers that have been tattooing forever don't know anything about rotary machines. Isn't that funny?
We're supposed to break down a rotary machine as well and take that apart. So
Good. I'm
know both.
excited about that.
yeah, me too.
Because then when I talk like nerdery about like the specific features of the cams and like the little drives, you're going to know what I'm talking about.
hmm
It gets pretty nerdery when you start looking at like micro engineering like that. Not that it's micro, but these teeny tiny parts that like you look at the whole thing assembled and you don't think of like the subtle nuances of how like tiny adjustments and certain just shape changes will totally change the way the needle travels. I don't know.
Here,
It's
I'll send
cool.
over
It's
some
cool to
pictures
think
and
about.
videos to pull up.
You got pictures. and
Also,
videos?
you should maybe post some of those recipes for your autoclaves.
I do have to take a picture of that.
I screenshotted it. I sent it to my piercer friend. He found a cookbook recipe book for autoclaves.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, it is a pressure cooker.
It's
That's
wild.
essentially what it is. It's just a pressure cooker with precision gauges to make sure it's like pulling things to the exact temperature. Like if you look at like a kitchen pressure cooker, it's identical, but it doesn't have the same readings on it. It's nuts.
Here we go.
I know. an
So
artist that
the
uses a
pressure cooker recipes came out of one of these books, Machine Gun. The really cool thing about apprenticing under Derb is that he's got a lot of history and knowledge and books. He's got the massive bookshelf, so he's got a lot of really cool stuff in there to kind of look at and learn from.
Pretty crazy. We talk about Derb a lot on the show just because I think we all like, collectively look up to him. But it is really cool that as well as like videoing everything and being the guy to be like, let's take a selfie, let's take a group photo, let's get a video of this. It is cool that he does that for social media, but the thing about Derb is he's like a living historian.
Mhm.
He's been documenting his whole career this whole time. He has all of his pictures on hard drives. Like he's not one to like, well, memory's full, delete that.
Right.
Like he has cataloged everything. And he has amassed what is probably one of the larger like tattoo book collections around. In Derb's room where his workstation is, there's this cabinet that's probably 8 feet tall that is 3.5 feet wide, maybe, that is filled floor to
Mhm.
ceiling with books, like to the point that it's like the heaviest thing in the room.
He's given me a couple books too, and like giving me a real stern look, like you better not fuck with these. So there's
Like these ones right here.
this was one of them. I got the same look that I got from when he gave me the Ed Hardy flash book.
That's so crazy. That's
I'm
what you're
telling you
learning
how
from.
special this is.
Yeah.
I'm handing you
I'm so excited for you,
grail.
Kyle. Your apprenticeship's going to be so amazing. Like
I'll show a couple exercise
Yeah.
sheets I've been working on.
you've been putting in a lot of work.
Getting there.
Isn't it crazy how like when you're doing exercises like that, you can flip back maybe a week or two and you can see when you look back at what you were doing for those warm-ups and exercises, you can see like your hand was not as smooth. You hadn't started developing that muscle memory, but once you flip forward a few pages and progress a few weeks, everything starts becoming smoother and more consistent.
And I've been doing like 4, 5, sometimes up to 7 in a day of
Yep.
just sheets of this. So
You start becoming familiar with the hand speed. One of the things that I think of when I'm running a line, because if you think of making a perfect circle, you're going to psych yourself out and you're going to screw it up. If you think of making a perfectly straight line, you're going to psych yourself out and screw it up. If you need to make a perfect 90-degree angle, you're going to psych yourself out and screw it up. So for me, I think about making it gracefully. Like there's this rhythm of your body. And like, as you like, just take a deep breath and then you move your hands. Sometimes there's just this grace in the movement. And if you can work with that grace and flow, grace is sometimes more important than straight.
that's what I've been saying a lot doing these is I have that in the back of my mind always and just like saying to myself, like graceful and confident is
Yep.
what it needs to be.
That's always what I tell people too when they ask about my line work. It's like I just go in very confidently. Like I'm not trying to do that line more than one time. So I'm going into it like this is how that goes.
And
I
you
made
know-
this line. I drew it the first time.
I love that
how
you
it
just said
looks.
that, because if you don't go in confidently, you have to make the line and then you have to make the line
Mhm.
again. And what does that cause? Pain 2
Yeah.
times. Why do you want to hurt your client twice? Like just if it belongs there, put it there. And that's the same thing with like color packing, shading, any of those things. Like if you're doing it, do it confidently,
Yeah, like
get
you're
it
trying
in
to put
and
it
move
in.
on.
Don't go in like, okay, maybe I have to smooth this out later. So I don't want to go too hard. No, be like, I made this line. I already know how it goes. And even if it's a little bit off that path, it's fine.
This
because I made
applies
that
to
line.
to
Keep
painting,
moving.
any other kind of
Yeah,
art,
I just use
pinstriping.
My stencil is just a guide for me. It's to let me know where things need to go. I know how to make those smooth curves because I just feel it. So sometimes they don't line up exactly with
Mhm.
that one line I have, or sometimes they're perfect right on them. But it's a smooth, consistent line all the way through because I'm not stressed out about that. I just know how it needs to move with it.
Mhm.
So I think that helps a lot.
I've also got this cool time lapse from this morning of taking apart and rebuilding the machine.
I'm so excited that you're documenting so much of this.
Kyle,
Can we
you
take
should
a second
start.
and talk about your like schedule, like what time you get up in the morning to do art and like work on this on top of working and then like while you're at work, sometimes you do all this other apprentice, like you're putting in all of the work. Like you're in a great spot. And I feel like some like that might be like, this isn't an apprenticing studio. You're in an amazing spot where you don't have to worry about all the, I'm going to be mean to you and break you down. You're just here to learn, but you're putting in all of the work. You're putting in just as much like time and energy as an artist that's going through all of that, except for you're applying it to your career. And it's just really inspiring. It makes me think about that. Like, oh man, like I don't want to draw this tonight. Like, man, Kyle would have already drew it last week. I better get in there and start drawing. Like you're putting in great work and you're going to be an amazing artist.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kyle, we need to sit and start learning these two cameras together side by side. We need to start figuring out some of these features because you could have shot that in 4K, buddy. With that camera
man,
that's
this was
shining
at-
on your beautiful face right
This
here.
was at 8 a.m. Okay.
I'm just saying, it should be a goal that we work into together is learning these cameras because there's a lot of really cool things that they're capable of, and we both could use those things.
Yeah.
And from looking at the catalog of knowledge that Derb has amassed his whole career, like look at the opportunity you have. You can not only save the books and take the photos and videos, but like you can take them in real time and actually like make a documentary if you want. Like if you get good quality footage, there's like
Sure.
endless
Derb's a print-
possibilities
like
of what
the-
you could
yeah.
do with it.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you.
Thanks. I'm
Mhm.
excited too.
Yep. Congratulations. I'm glad we finally got to like make the announcement on air. I wanted to say something as soon as I heard it, but I was like, I can't say anything. That's Kyle's announcement,
It's
not
been
mine.
going on for like a month and a half, so
Yeah.
I'm silent for a bit.
But now you're getting like you're already playing with machines. It's not going to be long that you will be tattooing pig's feet. Do you know where to get any?
I have some already.
You have some already? If you need more, there's some at the Hood Save a Lot near my house.
Okay,
They're like $3 a pack.
gotcha.
I think it was like $3.27 and $3.19 or something like that. But there were 3 of them.
I got
So-
I got 3 of them from Mike, so
Oh.
they're chilling in my freezer.
Nice. So if you
I've
need them,
never actively looked for pig's feet myself, but I
I wasn't
love that.
actively looking when I found them, but remember that
Yeah.
turning off the critical thinking,
Yeah,
just like
walking around.
gross.
Look at these little guys. I like that you logged how much they were and everything. You were very excited about these.
Well,
Have you ever heard of weird walks? I just
no,
like introduced Kyle to weird walks the other day.
tell me.
So it's when you just start, like if you're like feeling away, like anxious or just like in a funk or whatever it is, not creative, you have like a block. You can just go for a walk until you see something weird and you're like, weird, and like makes you look at things differently. You're looking for something new and like out of the norm, like the normal. And then sometimes you see things that are weird and out of the normal. It's like, but is that weird? And it kind of just like makes you look at things differently. And then it
Or
gives you something.
why is that weird?
Exactly. It makes you look at things differently. And then you can, I don't know,
In a
put you in a
different-
different
different-
headspace.
In a different situation, that would be normal.
So like, let's say like you're in a funk, but you're going on a weird walk and you see something really weird. And you're like, what? That's wild. All right. Well, all right, I'm gonna go back and deal with this. Why'd I have to see that? And that's kind of nice sometimes. Go for a weird walk. Get your head right. Be creative. If you're in a funk, go on a walk.
On a walk.
On a walk.
So have you guys been learning, you've obviously been learning tattoo history as well, right?
Mhm.
What do you think, I want to think of the right way to ask this question. Talk to me about how different it is to learn from one person who's dedicatedly like teaching you versus like going through the courses that you've been going through on reinventing that are intended for a class or intended for everybody to absorb. What's that like?
I think it's nice to have like both options or like both aspects of it, because on the one hand, like going through reinventing and everything, I've kind of like learned a lot of like the art side of it, the technical, like when it comes to the drawing parts of the design process, and just like the whole spectrum of it. And then having like now like one-on-one instructions to like really like fine tune everything and get like the exact precise answers that I've been looking for the information and the stuff I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Versus Derb just like, this is how to do it.
Mhm.
Look, put your eyes on this.
It would have been great to have an apprenticeship like that. Like, I wish I would have been able to have something where it was like, hey, let's, like you said earlier, you know, there's so many new artists that don't know how to use a coil machine.
Yeah.
He
I
takes
mean,
a lot of
either,
time to
so-
like explain stuff as he's going too. He'll like stop what he's doing a little bit to like actually like show me what's going on and some of the nuances behind like the microscopic moves and marks that he's making.
you know, I've always been kind of like a nerd about like gadgets, like that kind of like tight, tiny mechanical things. It's always kind of come natural to me. When I worked at a bike shop, I was always like little cassettes, small, like small things that are like a small part of a big thing, but everything is like precision, you know. So I think once I started tattooing, it became very easy. Like when Kyle and I were talking earlier about the machine building, I was like, is it getting easier already? And he's like, oh yeah, because he put it together and taken it down a couple of times. And I was like, it's just kind of like radio parts, isn't it? You know, and when you break it down, we're still just working with like frequencies. It's still all energy. It's still that same like electric motor transfer, there's magnets involved. There's, I don't know, it's just nerdy and scratches an itch.
So if you
But-
want to teach me how to use coil machines, Derb said he would also, but I would like to know how to do it. I just never was given space for that or like known how, like I got thrown into an apprenticeship that was like, you're really good at drawing. Here's a rotary and tattoo all these people. And we're going to clean up after you too, because we just need you to be there to tattoo all day. So then I
have a
moved
couple at home. if you
more
need.
and more to like different shops that actually wanted to teach me things, like made sure that I was like good. But
So
I
still
didn't
have
get to
my
know the
coil
basics,
machines
you know what I mean?
upstairs, and I also have a little adapter so that I can put any battery pack on them. It was like $60 from Workhorse Irons,
Okay.
small plug. But I think it was really worth it because I can sit and just like tinker them. Sometimes like late at night when I'm here by myself, I'll just like plug it in and plug the battery onto it and just to have the like
I think it'd be
nostalgia
fun
of
to
that
line. I want to try to
buzz.
line with it. I think it'd be really fun to like
Yeah.
have that option
Yeah.
too. I don't know.
But the point that I was making was understanding the mechanics of your machines and understanding the basics of how they work helps you to understand how to troubleshoot if something doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? I think one of those things, like, I think a machine should be either completely sealed and never need maintenance, or if it's the kind of machine that needs maintenance, there should come like a little instruction book or a link to like, here's how to tear your machine down and clean it and lube it and like help people understand the tool that they're working with. I feel like that would make so many artists' life so much easier because I feel like there's like a whole generation of artists who switched to pens and rotary machines and they just like hesitantly like got one and then maybe went through 2 or 3 or 4 until they found one that felt good. But like I think a lot of artists don't understand what like the different like stroke lengths of a machine are.
Oh yeah,
versus,
absolutely. Yeah.
you know, how different drive systems work, how like the different cam that, you know, pushes the needle bar basically. Like if you don't understand how that works, you don't really understand how much time per revolution the needle spends in the skin. So it's harder to like understand on the microscopic level what you're doing to the skin. So all these mechanics sound like nerdy things and it sounds like something like, oh, it's all encased, it's fine. But if you actually understand how it works on like the microscopic and slow motion level, you then understand like how far you can push it with one machine versus the other. And by push it, I mean like how many times you can saturate an area, like how many passes you can make before like I need to hit that next session. Like if I hit that again, that's going to be overworked. And that's one of those things that varies based on how different machines work. And I think that's something that it's one of those things everybody jumped into it and then out of like, I don't know if it's pride or if it's just like people get set in a rut, but they never took the time to learn.
Yeah.
And the information is out there. Aaron Williams at the Rubber City Expo, like we saw 2 different pictures of him and I totally blanked on his name. He builds these power supplies that are very intelligent. And if you just understand like the mechanics, if you want to understand the mechanics, he's got some wonderful videos out there that kind of like break things down in like super duper slow motion. He's got this crazy slow motion camera that he's caught like skin actual or the needles penetrating into this gelatin solution. So he's actually got slow motion video of the ink being distributed in the tiny holes
that's cool.
as the needles moving. So, you know, there are things that he's learned and like helped make me aware of, and artists that are aware of this. Now it's easier to understand how the ink goes into the skin, because in my brain, I understand better on the microscopic and like super slow motion level what I'm doing and how that ink is actually going in and how deep the needle goes versus how deep the ink actually goes. It's kind of mind blowing. And I know it's nerdy, but I think everybody should just take the time. Anybody who tattoos should take the time to like look into how their machines work, like how that needle travels. And, you know, then I don't know, there's just, if you nerd out and get into the microscopic mechanics, I think it just helps you understand how the trauma on the skin is actually working. So it's like mechanics and organics combined, but I don't know, it gets pretty nerdy. I think people get lost with it because it is highly technical, but I think once you understand, you can just push the skin like to the limit without making it a rough heal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
That's kind of where I know exactly where I can, like how deep, like not deep, but like how like I know when that line of trauma is there, which is why I try to go in first pass, boom, we're in there. But I know I'm going to wait and go back in on that another time if I need to, or I know
there's
like,
totally a level of intuition too.
Yeah.
Like the more you do it, the more you
Yeah.
just know, and the more
I
you
can just
know on
kinda feel
different
it,
skin
yeah.
types. Yep.
and like
there is a
talking to
feel.
you and Jordan too about how it goes into the skin definitely helped me with that, knowing when that's going to happen. I know that my heels now, like people are barely even, they're like, I barely even had any flaking. Like this was super comfortable. It was really weird. There wasn't
Mhm.
even really like the sunburn
And
phase.
the crazy thing is once you figure out that perfect limit to push it to, you're not doing touch-ups for oversaturation. You've actually got just the right amount of like, but
Well, I was just like in kind of like default mode for what I was taught and what I was told to do. So
Mhm.
I never really thought, I was more just like, okay, here's the art. Like this is the art part. This is what I'm focused on, because for so long I was focused on like the technical part, making sure it looked good. But I was making it look good with what I had known, like how I knew how to do it,
Mhm.
and not necessarily like the most efficient way or like the most, you know what I mean? Like, so now I have that knowledge and I can go back in and actually work with the skin. Jordan had made a comment one time about how he goes into the skin and he was like, I thought about it one time, like when I go back is not the same as when I'm going forward. He's like, so I guess I never really thought about like when I'm making like this nice little painter stroke. He's like, I never really thought about the back that I was doing is not the same as the forward, and like making it the same
the
exact
actual
time and like a
angle that
nice
the needles
yeah,
strike. Yeah.
nice rhythm that he was doing with it. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense to me. Yeah.
You know, I made that connection when Russ was tattooing me. He was in like the kidney area and he was like drilling away, but I realized that like if I just calmed down and let him move in like large, graceful motions, I knew he was saturating efficiently, but I also like, I don't know, those long, smooth strokes hurt less. They
yeah.
were like easier to wrap my head around than, and I have a tendency in the way that I work, because I work in tight little details and textures that like, there's no way around that short little stipply kind of motion. But in large, broad areas, those confident, bold, graceful, back to graceful, those confident, bold, graceful strokes, even when you're shading or color packing, really are the most tolerable for your client, but they also get the most accomplished. Like when you understand the right hand speed to move your machine and all the things, I don't know.
It was a cool way to look at it. Definitely helped me. And I was like, oh yeah, duh. Like it just takes that sometimes, because you get so like, especially when you're taught by people who really don't care about it all that much.
Mhm.
You know, when you care about it a lot and then just kind of not knowing where the resources are, getting here gave me the resources to actually go, oh yeah, cool. Now I can actually look into these things and make sure that like, you know, I'm better, my clients are better. And I feel like my artwork, every time I go into it now, because of something Kyle said, Kyle looked at one of my designs one time, I was about to get into a tattoo and walked in and was like, so what are you working on in this one? Like, what's your Like, what's your thing you're working on in this one?
Like, what's the objective kind
Yeah,
of
like
question?
what's, well, not even like just, yeah, like what's like,
What
are you working
tricks
on?
are you trying out?
Yeah, what tricks are you trying out? Like what, like you trying to do, you know, more saturation, you playing with like some glows, you playing with like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, ugh. And it just, ever since then, my tattoos are like, boom, boom. It like got me back out of that funk
every
again, because
time
now
you're
I'm like
trying a
back
new
into
trick.
learning. I'm like, oh, duh. I don't know why I got so just like kind of just in a funk. Not to say that my work wasn't good, but it was at the same level for a minute. And then now I feel like I'm like, okay, let me push myself a little bit on this one. I know how to do this. So let me play with that a little bit.
I'm
and
definitely
it's
been
getting a
pushing
little
myself
bit-
in the direction of some new tricks some more lately. I've been
Yeah.
doing some more wig wag stuff.
I love
Maddie
your
and I
wig wag.
now have
Ugh.
a shared client.
Cute.
what
With
do you call
Ananda
it?
too. Ananda
Yeah.
added to our sleeve.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to get Lindsay all of the cool artists that I know. I want her to have those pieces on her because she's such a cool client. As soon as I met her, I was like, and she wanted to get all this work done. I was like, yes, and I want to do it. But maybe we could do collabs with people I really like too, so we could both just keep, you know,
The
keep
upper part of
adding
this
and-
is going to be
yeah.
a desert landscape at
So
sunset.
beautiful.
So
It's so
the sky's
sweet.
filled with purples and blues and really rich, like hot pinks and reds. So this will all just kind of fade seamlessly up. But she's really been getting tattooed a lot. Her sleeve is coming along.
Yeah.
It does kind of make sense that she wanted me to do another landscape on her now that I realize how far you guys are pushing the water scene with the birds on
So
her
I
arm.
gotta talk to you about that too, because I wanted to do a collab with you and I already collabed with Ananda on that. I'm adding another bird, but I would like maybe if you wanted to play around with the background and we can
Sure.
all collab on that together. I think that'd
Sure.
be very cute.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'd definitely be down.
Yay.
If she's down,
She
I'm
told me
down.
that she wanted us to
This
collab
is-
together.
This
So
is some more wig wag stuff. So
So
what I
beautiful.
do, I'm not even gonna claim that I like made this. It's not even like digital stuff. You know, if you listen to the show a lot, you know that I'm a glass collector, and you know, a lot of my feed and a lot of the like fine art that I follow is glass blowers. Like not all of them are making rigs anymore necessarily, like, but it is pretty cool to me. The other people think this stuff is cool.
Yeah.
Like I like taking some of my favorite artists. I'll take their photos and I'll take their posts and then I'll take them and I'll like pull them into Procreate or Photoshop and I'll like posterize them, or I'll take them to just black and white. And then I kind of manipulate those a little bit, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of like the same thing Cassidy Bell does with like the digital, but this is organic. This is like, I don't know. It's like magic to me. I just
It
love
looks
playing
so
with the glass
beautiful.
art. I love that so many people are down for it too. Once I posted a couple of these, I've had a lot of people asking about them.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. This is a
That's
collab that I'm
so
doing with
beautiful.
Rich Cook on our buddy Devin. Rich Cook started the lower half and we're gonna flip flop back and forth around the middle. And once we get into color, we will just kind of go crazy with this. This is going to be an insanely colorful piece. We were just concentrating on the black first. It's a funny thing about really bright colors. In order for a color to look bright, it's got to have equal dark next
Oh,
to
yeah.
it.
People always get so stressed out when I when
Yeah.
I like start my bright colors. 'Cause I do lots of like neon. I want things to look really glowy and so
Yeah.
bright. But I put so much black into my tattoos. And people are like, are you sure that we're gonna like I want it to be neon, but it has to have that like deep shadow in there to make it
Yeah,
look bright and
this sleeve is going to look insanely colorful, but in order to achieve that, it will first be 50% black. Not even 50%
Yeah.
black and gray, but 50%
black.
black.
Yep.
And then when we get to the color is going to go so fast and insane, and it's
And it's
just going
gonna
to come to
heal
life like
people.
crazy. Yeah.
And it's gonna last forever. Like it's because
Mhm.
it's so packed with that
Well,
black.
Rich is a saturator and I am a saturator. So I know this sleeve, and Devin takes care of his tattoos. He's got an Adam France sleeve on his other arm. I did this piece on his chest that's creeping over. But he takes care of his tattoos and he's definitely not afraid of color. So when you're not afraid to get bright colors, but you also know to sunblock, or he's close enough to us that we'll yell at him if he doesn't. So he knows he's going to hear it. Like I'll lecture him like a mom. If it's like, hey, it looks like you're getting a nice tan from riding your little motorbike around there, buddy. And he'll be like, yeah, I gotta be better with the sunblock. It's like, yeah, it sneaks up on you. Like, take care of your skin. I say that to all of my people that get more sun than they should on their
Oh, yeah.
tatties.
I'm
But
trying to hide from the sun all the time, honestly.
When
Now
I
that I'm
drive-
getting all these bright pieces, I'm like, all right.
when I drive, I actually have like little throw blankets that I keep in my vehicle because like it's a good idea to have blankets in your vehicle in the winter just in case, you know. But from the sun, I can lay a blanket or a hoodie over my lap so my legs don't get too much sun. This is A-Raj. We've had Adam on the show a few times. This is his back. I think this was our third session. We probably could have kept going, but I was afraid that we covered so much ground. He was going to be miserable healing. So next session, we will start with the darker blues behind the clouds at the top, working down into what we have. And then there's going to be 2 red moons. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. I might go in and brighten up the yellow in her uniform a little bit more too. I think that'll be about it down there. So this is like the fastest back piece I've ever done, which is like awesome to accomplish that much so quickly. But like Adam's so great to see and like loves getting tattooed so much. But when I cover so much ground so quick, it's like, oh,
now you're gonna be gone.
yeah. He won't be gone. Adam's part of the tattoo family, man. He's here for every event
be
that we
safe.
have. Yeah. Maybe
Keep
one
our
day he'll be
tabs.
like, maybe I should tattoo.
Does he do the art things?
He does some art nerdy things.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
like that. Okay, okay.
I don't think it's totally out of the realm of possibility. But, you know, it does take a lot of time and dedication. You know, we sit here and see how much time and work Kyle's put into learning already.
Even before the apprenticeship, like just showing that you wanted to do it, you were like in here every morning painting. Then you go home and like relax by painting or pushing yourself to do drawing or painting challenges every single day for a month. Like put the work in.
Trying to.
It's going noticed for sure.
Do you want to pull up some more photos of Maddie's work?
Yeah.
Pull up the gram.
The Graham, El Graham Marino.
The gram.
Oh, did you show off Eric's leg? I might have been looking down and not paying attention.
It's
I
not the
did
heel
not.
piece I did at Indie Expo, taken by Ash.
I love the boba.
I do too. And then this little guy's like hiding in there. Pop to enjoy. The snake's about to eat him.
Every little detail, the little cross eyes on the smiley face.
Thanks. I love him so much.
You're like, this could just be a boring lid or
Hear me out. I spent so long looking at like different lids and like how the ankles and stuff are. It was stressing me out.
no, it's
It was
good though.
fun. Thanks.
I love that in the photo, there's like this perfect swirl
Yeah,
to
the guy
contour
behind
the
him.
snake. Yeah, it's like a was that on purpose?
I have no
That's a
idea.
happy accident
Maybe I'll
because it makes
the
the photo look pretty rad.
rad.
If it was on accident, cool. If it was on purpose, that's pretty.
We're gonna say
thoughtful.
it's on purpose because he's pretty thoughtful. And then we still have background to put on this. We're gonna put like a spooky Halloween scene behind it. Like glowy pumpkins and stuff.
Are you currently taking new clients?
Yeah.
Yeah. How you haven't been at Retreat very long yet? What is the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to get tattooed?
Instagram or my email, shabby.beatnik@gmail. But yeah. you just
What kinds
reach
of
out to
stuff?
me.
Like if you could put a description of the kind of work you want to do. Like, what do you want to do more of? Like, clearly,
Goofy little
obviously,
bright
weird
goobers,
colored
new school.
things.
Bright new school, goofy little goobers. And they don't always have to be like cutesy little critters. Like we did this kind of spooky man, and we're gonna add to that. We're about to put a shark on there somewhere, and we have a bottle that we're gonna add with like a toxic waste plant because on the back of that is a shipwreck, and that's why this little guy looks like an oil spill.
Oil slick octopus.
Yeah. So we played around with that a little bit, and then we're gonna put like a toxic spill and then have like a weird little glowy fish that has like really big eyes and looks like
You
kind of
like
weird.
anglerfish a lot, don't you?
I really do.
I
They're
feel like I
really
overheard you say that the other day.
Yeah, I do be like an anglerfish. But yeah, this was awesome. This was 4
This
sessions.
This is coming along.
Thank you. We have
I feel like I
white
remember when
highlights.
you started it.
Yeah, white highlights and get that background put in. I'm
I love
excited.
the way you say white highlights.
Oh, I don't mean to.
I love it.
Christina
Don't
comes
change
out.
it. Don't change it. Don't change it. White highlights. Back to the
This
fish
was
talk.
so fun. So this was right after I hung out with Jeff, and I was like, oh, cool. I'm just gonna Sharpie this bad boy on there. And I just brought out my Sharpies. And it was before I knew to use like multiple color Sharpies too. I just had one Sharpie, real fat boy. I was like, fish. And it was very fun, and it came out great, and it made me really excited to do more Sharpie stuff. So I went and bought lots of colors of Sharpies.
Nice. I actually like keep an eye out like after like let's say Easter or after
Mhm.
like a holiday or whatever, like watch the end caps at the different stores while you happen to be out at like ADHDing around.
Yeah.
Or back to
Um,
school time.
Yeah, shortly
what I just
after
got
back to
mine.
school time. But when you can find them on clearance, like when you get a pack of Sharpies that's 75% off, oh,
Mhm.
give me the rest.
Give them to me.
Give me the rest. I'll just
I'll take
buy,
'em.
I'll
Yep.
take all of them. And that's, I usually once or twice a year, I do that and fill my drawer up. I'm down to like yellow. I use a lot of yellow, but
I
I'm
use a
down
lot
to
of
like
yellow.
yellow and light blue. So I need to get some more.
I
need
use
to get
yellow,
dark
pink, and
colors.
green.
I start off with yellow. One of the things that I always do, almost always, is I'll have my clients stand and then I draw a grid on them. So I've got my
That's what I just did
vertical
with
and
Jasmine.
horizontal, and then I have them get comfortable.
Mhm.
And then I'll take my time drawing, and then as I like start progressing through the colors, I'll have them stand and double check and make sure
Like
everything's
touch
still
things up and
proportionate.
move it.
and-
Yeah.
Yep. But I gradually, I go from light to dark. Like sometimes it might be yellow, green, dark green, blue. Other
what I do
times it
too.
might be
Yeah.
like yellow, light peach, orange, brown.
Mhm.
You know, it doesn't really matter what the color it is. It's just I'm getting darker as I refine the sketch on you. And that's the same way I would do it with a pencil drawing.
Right.
I would just get darker and more refined as I go. So one of the things when you start like confidently just like sketching on clients and letting the image emerge, pieces fit better. Your
Mhm.
style is more a part of it.
Oh, it's so much easier for me to accomplish these tattoos, I think, outside of these expectations that I put outside of my style,
Mhm.
where there's just certain things that I just wouldn't do. Like it's really cool and I appreciate it. And like I've seen it other ways and I like it. But I feel like sometimes when I'm like I sit down and I critique myself too much, like I'm drawing, then I keep messing with it and then I'll look at it some more. I'll be like, well, I do like when like this happens sometimes. I'll play with that a little bit. And then I feel like when I go to get to the tattoo, sometimes I'm in a different headspace than what I was when I doodled it on, outside of when I could just sit there with them and be like, hey, I'm gonna draw this voodoo doll bat, which I just did on Jasmine. We're gonna start on our shop manager. I'm starting a underbust piece, and it's a voodoo doll, like crocheted voodoo doll bat, because she crochets little guys for Hell City. She has some of those.
Mhm.
But we did a little voodoo doll that's crocheting itself, and then the hook, like the crochet hook, comes up here. It's like the little peep that happens is the crochet hook with a little bit of yarn. And then when you look at it, it's this big goofy little critter down there. And he's
How big is it?
big.
Big. Okay.
When she came in, I said, so you know how I do big tattoos, right? She said, yeah. And I said, cool. And I go, how much numbing cream you put on? She's like, okay. We went and made it a lot bigger. I was like, all right. And it's going down even more. So like the idea of those like chandelier pieces, people
Yeah,
like,
it's like I'm just gonna take your whole torso
Give
while
it
we're
to
at
me.
it.
yeah, it kind of
just-
just happens. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when I like just get to looking at somebody, sometimes like we're doing the brainstorm and like, let's say we're talking about like shoulder, chest.
Mhm.
Like sometimes I'm just like, and you just like kind of look at the body part. And sometimes it's like, does it have to stop there? Like, could it come down
It just
here?
made
Could it go
sense to
over
be
this
big.
way?
I
You know
didn't
what I
go
mean?
into it with the intention of I have to have half her torso.
No,
like, I
no,
wanted to make
sometimes
sure
it's
that it
just
was, like,
appropriate to fit
his-
the body
His
is what I
face
was saying.
big. I can make sure that the details I have, I planned out like very intricate details, since she's someone who's in the shop that I can just kind of like yeet when I want. I planned a lot of intricate, like there's going to be a whole session of just putting texture in the crochet on the bat. Like we're going to do all that and then go into the wings, because it's crocheting its own wings. And then there's little pieces of yarn hanging off the wings. And there's ghost cats playing with the yarn, her cats. I have the 4
the
cats.
whole scene.
So it looks like those chandelier pieces where they have like the rose and like the little beads that happen, and then the little dangles that happen down from that, but like really fun, still that, but like a little bat and his little body hanging. And he's a voodoo doll, so his feet are like flopped forward. Like he doesn't really have like, they're not like hung up or anything. He's like, bleh. But then it's like his arms are like kind of like stuck into his body and you just kind of holding the,
So I've got
Yeah.
a question.
Yeah.
What happens if you get a voodoo doll of somebody,
what do you mean?
but you're nice to it?
Then good things happen to it. That's
Is
like
that
the whole
real?
point. Yeah.
Good thing you can, it's not just about
You
like
can put good things. I
poking
do-
needles through
I
'em.
don't do like,
You can like,
that's a lot of work to have a voodoo doll made for you. And that's just like a lot of weird that goes into that. For me personally, I like to have figure candles on my altar. And Harry and I just did a whole thing for the like the full moon that happened on the 1st. We did like a whole like communication ceremony and this whole like cool thing with our altars. And we had like there's like a sigil candle or a sigil candle figure candle for like a lady and then one for a guy. And we went for abundance for the first.
Mhm.
So we were like, all right, there's abundance and like friendship, love, happiness,
Mhm.
you know, whatever abundance comes to us. And we like carved little things into it. And like we put the intention, like our initials into it. Like we carved our intentions into our own. And if I wanted to, I could have given it to Harry and he could have been like, love, you know, blah, blah. Or he could have been like, you know, gets a bad rash on her butt. And I don't know that I'm going to get a bad rash on my butt if that happens, but I wouldn't want him to put that bad energy out there for me. But we just had our own candles and then just put our good intentions into it and like what we were wanting. And then put them down and tied them together and lit them up and let them burn down. And I read the candles in the morning and it was really cool.
nice.
Yeah, it was pretty
Okay.
fun.
Okay.
But you can just be nice to it or like, you know, just like say, like you can like pen nice notes to things like, you know, like put like write like really secure the back if someone really needs to have a backbone, like, you know, things you can put with good. It's
Okay.
all about intention. If you don't put mean intention into the pokes, they're not gonna be mean.
But do you think people that want to do good intentional things think to get a voodoo doll of another person?
I don't know. I guess it just depends on what kind of critter you are. If you're like, hey, you know, my friend's really going through it right now. I'm gonna try to put some good vibes out there for
Well, is
her.
that a thing? That's got to be a thing,
I don't know.
right?
I'm not doing it to you. Don't worry. But like, but if you want me to, I will. Figure candle for fun.
I don't know if I'm the one that needs the candle.
I could figure candle somebody. I could teach you how to figure candle.
Well,
I'm glad I could talk to you about that though. It's cool. I really like it. It's like not as weird as, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you don't like all that weird stuff, like it was cool that we took a moment to go, hey, here's the goals that I'm setting for myself for this month. I'm taking a moment to acknowledge, you know, maybe faults that I have and things I need to work on. And I'm going to acknowledge it in these moments and carve these things in these moments to go, okay, this is something I'm really working on. And you're not going to write that and be like, hope it happens. You're going to be like, all right, cool. You know, like I'm putting that intention into it like that, like strong. you
yeah,
know?
it's all about like the genuine
Yeah.
intention.
So if it's, you know, and for me, I feel like that intention goes further than other people think it goes, and that's fine.
So back to this
But,
documentary I
yeah.
talk about all the time by director Tom Shadyac. It's called I Am. And one of the things that is talked about very strongly in the movie is the power of intention
Yeah.
and then collective intention.
I think intention is a direct pipeline to divine. I think that is, and divine is intention. It's that energy that we have that we put forth things. So if I have a good intention, so I do something for you, that's a way of me sharing. Like that was in a moment I go, wow, like I want to do this for you. So I'm sharing that with you. And sometimes that comes out when I get a physical, tangible thing, but I still put my energy into that and I shared that with you. There's like, it goes further than that sometimes.
Isn't
And
it
it's all
funny
about that
how like when you
intention.
start being mindful of intention, you start being so much more mindful of gratitude at the same time? You know, when you start thinking about the energy you're putting out there, you then start thinking about the energy that like
People are giving you.
not that also, but like the literal energy that shines down upon you. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
once you become aware of like the power that intention actually has, you become a little bit more in tune with all of the energies. And the gratitude, I think, is something that's why like I think people that are really in tune are just really chill, because like when things get hard, they're still just like,
All right.
I'm still
Yeah.
grateful for this, and that does suck, but I'm still grateful I've
Yeah.
got this, and this, you know. I try really hard to like when I'm frustrated about something, I'll be like, the first world problem. You know
Right.
what I mean? I'll get the complaint out just to get it out, or I'll like have the emotional outburst to have the emotional outburst. But then it's like first world problem. Like
I'm that BPD
I gotta
baddie,
get
so I
over
have
it.
to acknowledge the intention behind it always. I have to go, okay, is this a like a malicious thing that just happened, or was it an accident? And that's like the thing that it happens really quickly in my head because I do it very actively. It's like one of my things that I like need to do so I don't spiral about like little shit that's just not important to me anymore. So I just kind of go, okay. Like let's say like you come in and you're like you had like a really bad day or something. Not that I've got you on a weird day where you're mean to me, but let's say you come in and you just don't say hi, and I said hi and you didn't say hi, or you were kind of like dismissive, I could look at that and be like, oh man, maybe Fawn hates me forever. And I might think that. I might ask you if you hate me forever. But in that moment, I'll be like, all right, cool. Like, what was the intention behind that? Like, is she normally like that? What's her baseline? And it just kind of like happens like a flicker in my brain. But like that's like for every situation. Like if something like, man, this really bad thing just happened. It's like, yeah, but like, how much energy are we going to give that for this weird little blip that wasn't that big of a deal?
Mhm. That is one of those things that like sometimes it's hard to get into check in the moment, but you have to like get perspective and get it in check.
Yeah.
Like
Intention helps me like get right to that point. And I think that's what I have to like really focus on is like, all right, cool. Where are we at with it? So I don't freak out for a minute. Let's
Mhm.
focus on something. It's like, all right, cool. This is that. Just gotta get it figured out.
so it's funny that our conversation has like organically gone towards gratitude because it's one of those
Yeah.
things like you write it down, you put the intention out there. Look at the next thing on the list. Gratitude to be able to collect
Oh.
the way that we do. Not that I've gotten tattooed recently. I need to get back on that wagon, but I'm working on being less chunky. So I have fewer square inches to be tattooed on my belly. Like, I'm like, yeah,
I
I
wasn't
should.
planning on it, but I'm going for that too. I've thinned out a lot, so my ribs is a lot less to work on.
Stop.
It's like fewer square inches. It's gotta
Yeah.
hurt less, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like on that topic, being tattooed by,
Is it weird again?
Yeah.
Being tattooed by Jeff has been really awesome for a lot of ways. Like again, making me more confident in being an artist, and like not that I wasn't confident in my art before, but like more confident for sure. And you always have room to like grow there. I feel like talking to him and seeing how he just like threw his stuff on there and like he just knew what it was going to be. And I know that I can do that too.
It's like it gives you permission to just
I was
do
just
it.
about to say that. Like for so long, it was like I had to prove to everyone else I knew how to draw before I put it on them.
When
But I
somebody
don't
just
have to do
looks
that
at you
now.
and they're
I
like,
can do it.
just do it.
And I
Oh,
feel like
thanks,
now
Adam.
I'm really just only doing the art I like to do because that's what I draw. So people come in, they're like, I want this. I'm like, heard. So I just draw it like that. And that's what Jeff says too. He goes, most times people come in and like, what are we doing today? And he's like, and it's not that I don't care about it. It's just that like we're going to make it that day. I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to make it. And sometimes he'll like draw stuff ahead that he wants to do.
Mhm.
But a lot of times like, all right, let's just draw it on there. And he could just be in that space, come up with that guy together, like have that moment with your artist before your tattoo where it's like, yeah, we're supposed to start at 3, but like be here all day. We're going to talk and we're going to make sure that we're making something together. We're going to get
Mhm.
that experience and make sure that we're in the same realm. So many times clients come in like, this is what we're doing today. And then we start talking a little more. They start talking about like kind of stuff I like, we're doing and what I've been doing. And
Mhm.
well, maybe I want something like that. Well, you could just pick out one of these little guys. And then we kind of just move more towards that anyway. So I feel like now I do just wait and just draw a day, like on the day on them. So I already know that I'm doing that anyway. I don't trace a bunch on my tablet. I'm just drawing on my
Yeah.
tablet. So I can just draw onto you. And it's just not that big of a deal to me. Like certain things like I've done like the other day, I added a handwriting thing. Obviously I would stencil something like that, but I just don't really do much like that anymore that I would need to have a strict stencil. For bigger pieces, I like to do a loose stencil. So I know where everything needs to lay and I'm not like just going in blind or things I need to be symmetrical. I like to make sure I put those in and actually map those out right to make sure that it's
Like,
lined
there's
right.
nothing wrong with
but
like
doing
combining
both, I think
stencil
it's
with
fun.
freehand.
Yeah,
I do that a
absolutely.
lot.
Yeah.
Like
making
sometimes-
all my circle stencils, popping those on, making sure that I'm doing perfect circles like that. I mean, I can sit there and play around with a marker forever and do that, but I could also just put a circle on you and make sure that I'm doing that as clean as I possibly
Mhm.
can to add to how fun this tattoo is. I like
funny.
goofy tattoos that are done so clean and you add little tricks to them that have you don't need to do that, but you did like the little tiny stuff that, this is just supposed to be a fun tattoo. People always think like, I want to get fun tattoos with my friends. I don't care. I just want to be silly and stupid. Like, yeah, man, let's do that. But let's do it at like such a level that it looks so nice that people are like, almost like, why? Like I have 2 dicks on me now and people are like, that's beautiful, man. Like I have the biggest balls on my leg. Like, man, that's crazy. That looks amazing. That's beautiful. You know, it takes that. Like where someone can be like that, like, man, the glisten on that ball sack. You know what I mean? It's silly. It's so silly. And I love it. That's my favorite part.
I mean, if you're gonna do it right. Do it to the like X degree.
Sorry.
Parked on it.
I did. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it is one of the things, like even when I'm in the middle of like some of my most brutal sessions, like even though I've like just kind of surrendered and I feel beat up, there's still this like element of gratitude that I'm able to be there in that situation with the people that I look up to, with the person that I want to learn from and collect art from. Like there's all these different layers of gratitude, as well as like just being just punished.
Yeah.
Like just feeling
I always
just,
say thank you all. I'm like, oh no. Cause I like whimper to myself, but the more uncomfortable I am with you, that it gets a little more like, hey, it's not like a big
Mean. I'm not like a terrible screaming baby about it. I sat for 24 hours at Hell City. Like I make myself sound worse than I am. And everyone always tells me that when I get tattooed. I sit very well, but I'll be like, ooh.
I'm incredibly ticklish, man. I feel like I squirm and I fidget on my
I don't move
torso
at all. I
everywhere.
stay so still, but like I was working on my booty when I was getting tattooed by Adam because he was in my toe bits. He was on the top of my foot and my shin. Like it was all the worst spots. So I was relaxing that leg as much as I could, but the entire rest of my body was like in bridge. And I was like so tense. And I was just relaxing that leg and I was like, oh God.
Your
And
pores all sore the next week.
oh yeah, but the whole time I was like, I know that I'm acting ridiculous, but I really appreciate this. And like I'm paying attention. I'm just dying and I hate being tattooed, but I love this tattoo and I'm gonna love it forever.
Oh man. One
Ugh.
of the sessions on my knee, Adam was tattooing me and like he was working on me in such a way that like my foot was on the stool, like between his legs. Like he was kind of like holding my foot
Oh,
with
I do
his
that a
legs
lot.
and tattooing my knee. And as he's tattooing me, I'm like trying to be still, trying to be still, trying to be still. But that like area below the kneecap, that's like one of those reflex points. So it was like an uncontrollable. I was just like pushing him away from me. So he'd like work for a minute and I'd push him away and then he'd scoot forward.
That
and
happens to
pick
me all
myself
the
up.
time.
So then I ended up like curling up and just like holding my leg and just like I'm in a ball with my foot between his legs. And it's just like, it's the worst. I just could not hold myself still. And like I knew how frustrating it had to be, but also at the same time, I've tattooed people in the
Mhm.
same place. So before that, I don't think I understood how involuntary it was. After that, it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
easy to be patient with
I
it
just
because
put a
I know
lot of
you can't
pressure
help
on you.
it.
You're not
I
moving.
know it's literally one of those
Yeah.
like,
You didn't mean it.
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
man. I know.
That's why I'm like, we're comfortable together because I'm damn near laying on you because you're not
Yeah.
gonna move because I just want to get it in there as clean as I can.
You know, and it's funny at this is something I realized when with Russ working on me was the more like just firm he held me, the almost more comforting it was.
That's
like
all my
I don't
clients say that
I don't
too.
want to necessarily describe it like Russ manhandled me, but when he would just like lay his hand and arm on me and just kind of like lean into me and like stretch a whole area and like just the firmness of his hands, it was almost like a hug.
Yeah, no,
Like-
I clients say that all the time.
I
Like it's
feel
like
like
it's
you got
comforting.
me. You got me. Like this sucks so bad, but I feel like you got me and I feel like you know it sucks and I feel like you are being as compassionate as you can. And it's one of those like maybe there's something about actually being that connected, you know, when there's that
Mhm.
much physical contact between the artist and the collector, like it's almost comforting. Like I can't say that it makes the pain go away, but it makes it easier to tolerate the pain.
Absolutely, it does.
You know what I
I
mean?
feel like for me, when I was on like hour 20, we were like on hour 22, 23. on
You're
my-
just like delirious
I
about
was,
it.
yeah, I was really not on. I was because the first day we started on my elbow and then we finished on my elbow the second day. So it was pretty bad. And an artist had come up while I was in it and he goes, "You don't look as confident now." Something like that. And it like pissed Jeff off. He was
Yeah,
like,
that's a
"Hey,"
pet peeve of mine.
he
as
was like,
well.
"Hey, no,
Not
she's actually
helpful.
doing great. We don't need that right now. We're in there. So yeah, she's doing great." And it just made me feel a lot more confident and like made me more comfortable. So I've always been like a hippie grandma. So my clients made sure that they feel comfortable. I'm using back team when I can. Like we're doing this thing together. I'm trying to make you as comfortable as you can so I can do as much as I can today. And I feel like having that reciprocated and actually feeling that for the first time was like, cool. I'm glad that I'm giving that to my clients. And it made me like, it like reassured me that like,
Mhm.
that's what they do need right now, is for me to go, hey, it's all right. It's totally fine. I'm always like, listen, I'm a big baby. You're killing it. Like, don't even
Mhm.
worry about it. I'm like, man, I don't even have this part of me done yet, because I'm scared. You're doing such a good job. Like, I'm like all the way holding on them. And
I love when, I am in a spicy area of a arm or a leg, and I can, my collection is far enough along where I can be like, no, I really understand what I'm doing to you right now. And I'm sorry for that. But the kindest thing I can do is to just be efficient.
yep, just get it in there.
Yep. If we dilly dally, if we, are delicate about it, it doesn't hurt less. It just hurts longer. And I think sometimes when I'm in those really tough spots with clients and I like have that talk with them and use similar words to
Mhm.
those, it's like, this is teamwork and I do understand, but like, here we go. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll even do like, let's say we're creeping up in this little armpit pancake area,
Mhm.
or we're on like a nipple area or like the fingers. I'll do this thing where it's like, all right, I'm gonna dip, get my color. I'm going to work on you. We're going to count to 15 together. I'm going to saturate for those 15 seconds because, with every dip, you can really only do like a nickel size
Mhm.
area if we're talking like sensitive times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to concentrate and be precise and efficient. So sometimes there's even like this literal like countdown that I
Yeah.
do with my clients. Like, here we go. We're gonna do 5 seconds here, or we're gonna do 3 seconds here. And sometimes they'll like be like, all right, let's go. And I'll be like, take a couple more breaths,
Yeah.
relax. Here we go.
I like that
And
you said
as
that too.
they like calm down, it's like, okay, here we go. 15 seconds. And as we
Yep.
count that down together and I get to 10 and that's all I needed,
Yep.
and it's time to change colors, they have that sigh of relief. So sometimes there's like a strategy in working in a rhythm with them once they've made it to all the way through the 8 hurdles and they're going over the 9th and they have one more left, but they're out of gas. That's when it's really time to like make it teamwork.
Yeah.
And, you don't want to rush it and move your hand quickly. You want to pause, let your client collect themselves each time between you change,
Mhm.
each time you change colors or get more ink or whatever. And you just go in with those short little, like, okay, this is going to suck, but it's going to suck for 15 seconds.
Mhm.
And you can count it down together. And then there's that breath of relief. And then you get in that rhythm. And all of a sudden it doesn't hurt less, but the anxiety is gone.
Right.
Like you talk them through that first 2 or 3 cycles of like, okay, take a breath, 15 seconds. And then you get through the last hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or day
Right.
sometimes, you know what I mean? So that's crazy when I really like stop and think about how much teamwork there is
Yeah.
to this process. Like I say it very casually, like it is teamwork, but
I feel like
I
people
have-
don't use it like that a lot.
I have
Like, they
been
don't
on the
communicate.
receiving end of it where like, and a lot of times when I'm getting worked on, because like, Russ and Guy, they get prototype equipment a lot. So when Russ was doing my back, he was using a prototype machine with prototype needles. So it was nice because I could give him like, I don't want to be like clinical feedback, but clinical, thoughtful
Mhm.
feedback. Like, yes, the ribs and kidney area of my back suck, but let me tell you what this needle feels like versus the one you used a few
Mhm.
minutes ago. I can tell you if you use it this way versus this way, it hurts a little bit less. And it's funny to hear as he and I are talking, he can be like, oh, that's interesting because it saturates this way better too.
Mhm.
So he and I were learning together while he's using brand new equipment that hasn't even been made available yet.
Right.
Like those are just kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cool moments.
I think, like you said, like the teamwork of it, I think is super important, that a lot of people don't talk to their client while it's happening. Like, hey man, what parts hurt the most? But I always ask my clients that. I'm like, all right, we're going to get into this. I'm going to start in the spots that I think are probably the spiciest. I'm going to use the tiniest needle I have and go ahead and get these tiny details in because we're not going to like it. And we're going to use all that adrenaline at the beginning to just knock out these really bad spots. But if you tell me some spots don't hurt that bad and like other spots do, just let me know so we can get started there first. So we don't have to like keep going back in and making it bad for you.
Yeah, I do encourage my clients to
Yeah.
communicate with me. Like, don't sit there stoically and silent when
let me
all I
know what's
gotta
up.
do is like dip my finger in the Bactine and rub
Right.
it on the
Yeah.
area and wait 10 seconds. And
Right.
all of a sudden it's not exhausting anymore.
Right.
And you can just relax again. And then let me know when it starts to get
Mhm.
spicy, because I'll probably need to cleanse the ink away
Right.
anyways.
Like when we were on like the end bit of my elbow, like on the client side of it, he was like really getting, or like Caitlin was really getting in there, and like Jeff was really like up on the top of my arm, like they're kind of like at the very end.
Mhm.
And they were like, man, like I was like, don't. He's like, we don't have to do this, or we can move this. I was like, no, just do the thing that's gonna look the best, so we can have the best tattoo. But like, I know it's gonna suck. I just needed a second, a little Bactine. Okay, like let's just knock it out. Like get those white highlights in. I want them to look
White
nice.
highlights.
Do the do that tropical teal, pop
Don't
that
change
bitch in
it.
there. Don't go fast, you know. And it sucks,
Mhm.
but I was like, I know that this is gonna be the best, and I'm not gonna have to do this again because it sucks.
Mhm.
And I try to do that for my clients.
Yep. It's a funny thing because like sometimes late night, end of session, I used to catch myself working more quickly just to like get through it and be humane.
Caring about
and-
you, like, oh,
But
okay.
like in reality, that means I got to go back into that area
Yep.
again because I was rushing. Yes, I was paying attention to your pain, but I was, rather than utilizing those pain moments more efficiently, I was just rushing and working quickly to get you out of pain. Where if I slow down a little bit and I make each mark count, like
Right.
each time that needle enters the skin, I make it count. And then I just like hold my paper towel that's saturated with
Mhm.
Bactine and ink. I just hold it on there and apply a little bit of gentle pressure as I change colors or rinse my needle or whatever I'm doing. And when I come back in, that Bactine's been soaking in that very spot that I'm coming back to. So, you know, it at least helps where I'm making contact with
Right.
where I just tattooed. So there are all these things where when you're in those spicy areas or you're at the end of the day, just like slow down, think efficiently, but also think of like, man, this is teamwork time.
Yeah.
Like this is brutal. This
I'm
is
very liberal with my Bactine. I'm very like, it's $5. I will use a whole thing.
I
of
usually
Bactine
go
on
through
you.
a whole bottle
Yeah.
of tattoo. Sometimes
Yeah.
only half, but like
Mhm.
the little cups on our ink tray.
I want
Usually
you to be
I
comfortable.
fill it at the beginning and then I refill it on like our dinner break. So usually go through a whole bottle. And then if I don't use it all, then I end up just like sopping it out with a paper towel when it's time to like cleanse at the end of the night. It's magic. It's a magic
It
potion.
is
What do you
much
think?
better than numbing cream. I've used numbing cream in a couple spots. I usually just go into it because like we're usually doing it at competitions and I don't want to have that affect it. With my clients sometimes, especially in spicy spots, if you want numbing cream, I will use numbing cream on you because I'd rather you be comfortable.
Mhm.
And if that's what you want to do, we can. I'll also use Bactine.
Yep.
But we're gonna maybe have to go back in on that. And I'm comfortable going back in on that if that's what we need to do. But during conventions, we're trying to do a competition piece. I want you to be able to do the best that you can. And I don't want to have like hindered it in any way. So I try to make sure that I show up as a good client and
Mhm.
don't put anything crazy on me. And the
Be tough.
Bactine honestly feels much better a lot of times than the putting like numbing cream on. I mean, it helps with the initial, like it's a little bit numb and it helps the initial getting you into it, but that shock comes back. But I think you're just more prepared for the shock to come back. And sometimes people need that, and that's fine because I want to be able to work on you as long as I can.
Mhm.
But I know I'm gonna probably go back in. Sometimes like the tack or not tack, but Zenza, I don't have so much issues with.
Mhm.
It's usually pretty consistent.
It's pretty
but
nice. I've
yeah.
definitely used it on myself when we
Right.
first started carrying it, and I compared it to another pre-numb that I used for a lot of
Mhm.
my tattoos. And I actually compared like one armpit one day with
Yeah.
one and the other armpit the other
Oof.
day with the other. So it was like as close to a side by side. Again, like not that it was clinical, but
Right.
like for my own knowledge
Right.
of the products, I know how well they work, how long they work. And you know, in that area, there's a various amount of like different kinds of tissues. You know what I mean? You've got your ribs, you've got like the under boob area,
Oof.
the under breast delicate stuff we prepped onto my breast, then all the way up to the armpit crease. So like I could understand how it worked and I could understand how it felt on the edges where like it wasn't numb. Like I got to experience it and I got to experience the ups and downs. But anybody that worked on me with any of those products was very patient and
Right.
thoughtful about it. And, you know, I'm not going into little things either.
Right.
So I think one of the things to be mindful of with the prenups is to kind of like wrap your head around it being a head start. It's going to be like a slow ease into what the tattoo is going to feel like
Mhm.
the rest of the day. I think if you can wrap your mind around that, it makes it very bearable. And if you go into it with that mindset of like, okay, this is kind of like my training wheels for the first part of the session. And as this wears off, then the back teen is helpful.
Right.
And you can always communicate with your artist about like, okay, spicy, a little more back teen. Or you could steal Derb's patented trick. He has a spray bottle of back teen in his own hand when he's getting tattooed. So when his artist
I
is
do that
doing
too.
stuff, he like, and then puts it back down at his side. And
Yep.
so that, I mean, that is a way to do it. If your artist doesn't necessarily use Bactine or doesn't know how to do it, that I don't think that would be disrespectful
No.
or anything, because all you're doing is adding an antiseptic to it
Yeah.
as well as
As
the
long as you're
lidocaine.
past that outline stage, you're fine.
Yeah,
yeah.
don't do it if there's still stencil
Yeah.
on there. It's not going to help if the skin hasn't been broken.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the Bactine. Once the skin is broken, then it's very effective.
I think with the numbing cream, a lot of times people kind of cop out on the numbing cream and just try to blame numbing cream for like
Overworking.
overworking skin
Yeah.
or not knowing.
You know what I think? I
Yeah.
think sometimes artists are like, oh, you're numb, and they just go hog wild.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Not knowing how to use it, wrapping it on too long, thinking if it sits on the skin way longer than it needs to be is going to be better, which a lot of times like can make the skin poofier. So you have to know how to do it. Did you clean the skin before you just put all that stuff on there? Shave them up, make sure everything was good. Like it's a lot of factors into putting something on the skin. Did your client put it on before they got there? How did they put it
what
on?
product was it?
Exactly.
Because some of them, they're not all created
You're supposed to
equal.
use them a certain
Um,
thickness of them. You're supposed to use a certain, like sometimes like you're not supposed to use it while the skin's broken. Sometimes you can use it when the skin's broken, and people don't look into that. And then they just want to cop out and blame numbing cream for issues. So I have a lot of clients that come in like, you know, outside of the issue of the, oh, I'm just going to get through it. Like we also used to not use gloves. So if we evolve, it's okay. Calm down. Like, I just don't want you to be in pain. That's not my kink. But outside of that, like, don't scare my clients off with, hey, if like I'm about to get my lady bits tattooed, that will be numbed. Why wouldn't I do that? Like that inner crease, that would be silly not to try to do something to make that more durable so that I'm not like, or more bearable. So I'm not like smacking into like Jeff or like, I mean, it's gonna be hard to keep my leg down anyway, but like keeping it a little bit numb might make it easier for me not to twitch as bad.
yeah.
So like, I don't like when people try to like, bully you out of it for one way or the other. I think that you have to test it on your skin first. You should do a skin test like it tells you on the back. Where you take a little bit and you put it on there for the amount of time and you just see how your skin feels. And sometimes you have a reaction because it's not right for your skin.
So
and that's when it's a problem.
I tell my clients I do not want them to buy their own.
Right.
We are
I will give
fortunate
it to
enough
you.
to carry it
Yeah.
here. But I have used it on myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I understand.
I don't want anything in your skin I
understand how
haven't
it
used.
is or isn't going
Yeah.
to affect the heel. There are numbing products that have been used on me that totally affected my heel. One of them was Vasocaine.
Mhm.
Roughest heel I've ever had in my life. It was a tough session. It was a long day. At the end of the day, I got spritzed down. I got wiped down with Vasocaine. It A, set me on fire. And then B, yes, I was numb the rest of the session, which was only like another half hour.
Right.
So we were towards the end when this trick was pulled out, but it was a rough heel and everything had to be touched up. So if it's any kind of prenum that is a vasoconstrictor, what you run into is it's just too much trauma on the skin cells. So some of those products I do think in combination with overworking the skin are the cause of a lot of problems.
Right.
But it's you're really causing a lot of trauma when you're cutting off the blood supply because it's a vasoconstrictor. That's what it means, is it constricts the blood vessels. So there's not blood getting to the surface of the skin. So those cells are depleted and starving of oxygen and everything. And then you're going to puncture them with needles to their maximum saturation and expect them to recover easily. Like you've killed them twice.
Yeah.
You've killed them twice. You killed those poor little skin cells 2 times. You strangled them and you stabbed them 47 times through the chest. Like how do you expect them to heal? So that's how I feel about some prenums and that's why some of them do cause problems. And some of them, like, if you're just doing like a few little lines in an area and you really don't want to feel it, okay, maybe that's the perfect product for you. If we're talking just eyebrows or something small, okay, maybe that's the perfect
Right.
product for you. But you're not cutting off the blood supply from the topical vasocaine for as many hours as you are
Right.
for a large tattoo. So those cells, they have it those skin cells are experiencing the effects of the vasoconstrictor for a much shorter period of time because the procedure is shorter. So
Mhm.
they're not as starved for as long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they were just like depleted of blood until they were woozy, not until they blacked out and dead.
Right. He has a bad morning, but he's fine.
Each one of those skin cells. It was a rough wake up, but they're all right. They're gonna get through it. So I mean, I don't want to say don't ever use the products that are vasoconstrictors, but know the difference if you're using them. And like I think it's important to know what your clients are using. So that's where I think, if you want to do the pre-num thing, make sure your artist is cool with it, understands how to work with it, and like you're using the right product that your artist is familiar with.
Yeah.
So because I am absolutely for prenums. I am
Mhm.
absolutely for Bactine. I love Holy Water. I
Yeah.
love Hustle Helper. Honestly, the only one I've tried so far that I'm not a super fan of is there's one called Nothing Foam,
Mhm.
and it just kind of put me over the top on one of my sessions. Like the sting was so much more intense than Bactine that I was like, whew, that took my soul right out my chest. So that one, I feel like it's almost like it's too medicated. You know what I mean? Like it's almost too strong.
Right.
But I'm definitely for the prenums. I just
Yeah.
feel like you got to be on the same page with your artist about the prenum, and artists, if
research
you're
on them.
using it, yeah, like deliberately schedule a tattoo with anybody you look up to
Yeah.
learn from them, but also start the session with, hey, I'm experimenting with this new thing. I want to see how it works. I want to see how it affects the heel. I want
Right.
to see these things. And any artist you look up to is going to be like, oh, sure, let's do this. Or they might say, oh, I already know about that one. Let's not do this
Right.
product. Let's try this.
Or
It's
here's
more
why I
effective.
wouldn't want to try that in
Yeah.
the first place.
But if you're going in understanding that it's an
Mhm.
experiment and you're both going to learn from it, I think that's the way to try out these prenums, is find a prenum that works good on you as a collector. If you're a tattooer, find one that you like and you like the way that it works. That way you can help your clients along with it. If you understand like how long it works in different areas, then you understand how to work with it. Because like collarbone areas, you've got a really short window. Tissue areas, like, fattier areas, you've got a longer window of it's going to be numb for like a couple of hours in some of those spots where, you get an elbow or a hand or collarbone or throat and you have 15 minutes to a half hour, no matter how long you leave it on. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's one of those things where you don't really understand it unless you've experienced it. So
I've had a couple of things like when I've used it on my like on this guy right here, it felt like I don't know, at the beginning, like I said, it did help a little bit, but then it started just to like burn really bad. And then it didn't really help much. Like you said, after like the first like 30 minutes, it really didn't do anything. It just
but
kind
did
of
it
started
help
to
you
like
ease into it?
yeah, it got me into it, which is fine. I think this brand wasn't my favorite. It was Tack. I'm not a huge fan of Tack. Don't
Okay.
use
But now you know.
yeah, but it just kind of like I don't know, just like burnt my skin a little bit once it was like touched again by it.
Okay.
And I feel like the heel was really shitty.
Yeah.
Which this artist is like a feather fingers. Like he is like so like gentle, like usually has great heels, and this was like really just not great. And I know like the bend is kind of like a not so
I haven't
great spot,
researched all of
but it
them. I've
wasn't my
only
favorite.
researched the ones that have been used on me. So
Right.
there are many out there that I
Right.
don't know anything about. So that's why like I repeat things like there's this paste called BioEvolve or
Mhm.
BioSense, which is like a custom compound from Canada, which is pretty stinking awesome.
That's one I use on my feet. The what, like the fancy one?
yeah.
The Canada
Yeah,
The Canada face.
goo, I had that on my toes.
But that's what I tried on
Ugh.
one armpit, and then I tried Zensa on the other armpit the next day, and I was delightfully surprised. I think the Zensa works equally as well,
Yeah,
and it's only $40 a tube, and a tube is enough for 1 to 2 sessions of large.
and it like just basically
coverage.
dries on the skin if you like.
I encapsulate mine. I feel like that works better for me than letting it dry. I feel like it just keeps
But like when you
soaking
wipe
in.
it though, it's not like greasy.
Yeah,
It
no,
just soaks into the skin. Like once that thick, because I put it on like a thick layer, like we make it like thick, and then wrap it up. But when you wipe it, it's still like with a tack, it's almost like
kind of
Vaseline.
spongy.
Yeah. So it's like really like oily. So when I put my stencil on, my stencil wipes off, where this one just dries. Once you wipe it, it's not like a big event to wipe it off. I don't have to really take like a bunch of alcohol
You
or
just take
try
a
to
damp
scrub.
paper towel. and
Yeah,
it's
when
fine.
you have it really greasy, you have to kind of like alcohol it before you can put the stencil on. And I can just go in and just wipe it away, keep some on the side in the wrap for later and pop it back in. Jasmine barely flinched her whole sternum. She said, I can't feel this. Like, and we used the Zensa.
The thing
Not
that I
sponsored.
loved about Zensa is that we could reapply it.
Mhm.
And it doesn't burn. It does get like, I'm going to call it delightfully warm. It's not uncomfortable, but it does get warm as it starts to kind of soak in
Yeah.
where the tattoo, where you've already been tattooed. So that's really it. It just
Yeah.
gets mildly warm, and you can encapsulate it again. Just like, you can take Bactine, spray it on a paper towel and encapsulate that. And, that's how we kind of got through the later part of the session, but you can reapply it. When Guy would take a lunch break and go back up to the house and do family stuff, I could just put Zensa on my whole armpit area and renumb it.
Like,
And,
let
you
it
know,
soak in.
yeah, even though like on the rib area, there's not a ton of tissue for it to last a long time, it eased me into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to go into it with the mindset of like, okay, this may or may not help. And I already know it's going to get worse, but I'm going to count my blessings while it's not bad. And I'm going to pray to the Bactine gods that they're helpful
Yeah.
later on.
Vaccine has never done me wrong. I'm always like, can we just have a little bit more? They're like, all right, do this. Go get a soda drink and then pop back in.
I love that we've got it in bulk at the warehouse. I like grab a
Oh, yeah.
handful of it every time. I buy it by the 4s or 8 at a time. Yeah. Yeah, I do. Like that's
No,
why I just always
I-
have it tucked in
I
my
just Billy
cabinet.
Dallyin in the morning. I'm like, here's the things I need because I can.
I am due for basically re-upping on a lot of things. My inks, I have a lot of colors that I'm low on. That can be a scary order to place because I need 1.5 million colors to
I'm
make
about
my
to do the
magic
same.
happen. But it's just because I need so many variations of each color. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I not only need 3 purples, I need like 3 purples, light, medium, dark, extra dark, and then deep purple concentrate.
When I'm
like
picking out my colors, I
then-
think about specific scenarios in which I'm
have-
going to use them. So I'm always like,
Yeah.
that's not like I
gotta
need like
have,
a deep foresty situation, but also I need this like weird neon dart frog guy.
yeah. So I end up like just in my purples, I have like 5, I call them color families,
Mhm.
where it's like the light, medium, dark family
Yeah.
of a color. So I got like 4 or 5 of those just for my purples and grays. I
Mhm.
kind of lump my grays in with my purples
Yeah.
in my palette box. And then I go to my greens, and there's so many greens.
Same.
Do you know how many greens you need? Like, let's just say we're putting a neon green glow around anything. That's like
3.
9 colors of green.
3 for most people and like 13 for me. Yeah, like you're going in. And
And
then
I
I'm
mean, I
dipping, I'm
think
dirty
I'm
dipping into
going-
and making new
Going
ones.
from
and, like,
black to like green or turquoise concentrate to a forest green to an emerald green to like an avocado
There's
to a
5
grass
greens in that-
green
that,
to a all the way
yeah.
to a yellow. You know what I mean? Like if you're
love it.
building a
Oh, yeah.
green glow, you got to run from the darkest
to
green
like
all the
neon
way.
yellow.
But you got to go with like the richest
Yeah.
of each because you need it to look like it's glowing. Where like if you're building like a tree and moss, and that's another 16 different colors of green.
Yeah, but not
then you
quite
gotta-
the same glow.
We're not even talking about the olives yet.
Oh, shit, not the olives.
Not the olives.
I have so many olives as well.
Pinks?
Yeah.
I have
Neon
so many
greens. I
pinks.
have a billion neon greens, pinks, and yellows. Those are the things that are like to me. And like yellow to me also means orange. I just think yellow is all of it. So it's like yellow, like yellow is like orange to brown. And that is my yellow collection.
Yeah, that's a way to look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I need to re-up on many of my colors at the same time, it's like, oh, this is going to be an expensive order. But it's always nice to talk to Jamie over at Tommy Supplies. She's always been one of my like what's going on in the industry kind of gossips over the years. We actually this year we did a few different shows where they happened to be at, so it was nice to like catch up. She has the same kind of dog as me. Pretty cool. He's all black and handsome.
Is he also licking your knee bits?
No, he
randomly?
did not lick me. I was actually like, oh, I wish
Oh,
my
she's so
dog
nice.
didn't lick like this.
She gets you in like the most like yuckiest spots, like in between your toes or like behind your knee, or like just like slimes your whole leg to the point you don't even feel the licks anymore. You're like, okay, that's just where I am.
I had a meeting with my manager yesterday, and she was like sitting in the rocking chair that I have like across from my coffee table, and she had her legs crossed, and she was wearing like capri style pants, so like a small portion of her ankle was showing. And Lolo goes over there and is like
Yep.
profusely licking it. I'm like, Lolo, I'm
The one
right
piece of
here.
skin that's showing.
She's
Yep.
like, I really don't mind. I was like, oh man, if you let her
Ugh.
know that, she will lick and lick.
Your skin will be
Lick.
gone.
Yeah, she
Ugh.
won't stop. It's her favorite game. Don't let it happen.
It immediately almost like bleh.
So funny.
Ugh, she's so sweet though. I just want to let her if it wasn't so gross. It's like she gets a full mouth of water first. And she's like,
She does sometimes too. And like, I don't know. She's wonderful in every way. I love my dog. She's a great dog. She listens well. I could go on and on about like I had a lot of work training her and stuff. So I don't want to like make it seem unrealistic, but a lot of people put a lot of work into my dog. She's a really good dog. The licking is the only thing I would change about her if I
Yeah,
could.
she's
The
perfect. That's all I'm licking.
only
Yeah.
thing I would change.
she's
But
a homie, but she like when she brings you her toys first and she hangs out there, that's fine.
yeah.
But as soon as like you have skin exposed, she's like, oh yeah.
And
Well, are
like
you getting
she'll be
up?
chilling with her head on your lap, like awesome. And then out of nowhere, you'll get like a tongue like strategically on the inside of your arm. That's
Yeah.
the worst.
Ugh,
Oh man.
sad.
How do we end up
surprise.
talking
I
about
don't
my dog
know,
again?
man.
She's great. She's my homie.
My dog is starting to look like a dog again. So that's
Good.
nice. Yeah. He had like hot spots on the side of his face.
Oh, that's right. You know what? I was actually
He
just
shaved his whole face. It looks so sad.
it was actually just for the first time today. I was my cat was kind of itching. So I was like, you know what? Let me put some preventative flea stuff on you. I haven't seen any evidence. So I've got this like natural, it's like diatomastic earth or diatomaceous, however you wanna,
Mhm.
whichever crunched up diatoms. I sprinkled crunched up diatoms that smell good all over her.
Okay.
And I sprinkled Lolo too, because they both love the attention.
Yeah.
Um
Our dog is getting like these wipes to like clean off his face like every day. Like we have to like scrub his
but
face.
while I was
He
in
loves
there,
it. He just like
I thought of you because I had some hotspot stuff back there. And I was like, I bet she's already got something like this. But it's been a while since anybody's had one in my house.
Yeah.
But
I would love to try it because his poor little face. He looks like he has road rash. It's
It'll
so
clear
sad.
up
And
quick.
he's a golden retriever, so he's all fluffy and cute and long on one side, and there's like bald spot on the side of his face, has all these like crunchy little scabs. It's
yeah,
so
they look
sad.
miserable, but it'll heal up
Oh,
quick. And we're getting it won't
baby.
be too long. I feel like October dogs' coats fill out again and he'll come back to shiny and
So
beautiful
sad.
and long haired. It'll be okay.
He just looks so miserable. Like he gives you hugs. So we taught him how to do like the hugs thing where like we made a triangle and like pet his face when he was younger. So he loved that. So we go like, give us a hug every time we did it. And we would stand up and do it. So he'd like hop up and now we can just ask him and he hops up and gives us hugs.
My dog's
he
so
hops
short
up
that
and
I
he-
pat my legs
got his
and
cute little
encourage her to
face.
come up.
He like, no, he gives full hugs on the sides of his arms so he doesn't hurt you. It's beautiful.
He goes full into it.
Full into it. Kyle's had a hug. But he like is sitting there all beautiful and then he turns his face and it's like, like, like Phantom of the Opera. It's so terrible.
Oh, you're half cute.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Don't worry, it'll come back.
My poor baby.
It'll come back. Heat does it, stress does it, all those things, but it'll clear up. So in case you guys don't know, I got roped into doing the Tattoo Weekly on Mondays with Lauren and Gabe. So it's kind of like this, but a lot more organized and more like tattoo current events. I mean, I guess we talk current events, but it's a little bit more like for the artist and for those who like really want to be in the know, where like we're trying to like help you understand how to get good tattoos and know the
Yeah.
difference. But Monday mornings, I think in the near future, we might be moving to Tuesdays. I don't know. Do you have the lineup of guests
I do.
for that for the next few weeks?
There's Corey Ferguson for next week,
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Schlick the following, and then Gunner the following week after that.
That's pretty cool. That's those
And
three.
Caroline Evans.
Oh, nice. That's 4 pretty heavy hitters.
We have a
So
guest artist coming to Red Tree soon, don't we?
Yes, next Sunday, Monday.
who it is? Who's coming?
Jaded Moon.
Oh, I forgot she was coming. I knew she was coming, but I totally forgot. I don't think I knew it
I
was
think
this
she'll be
soon.
across the room for you there in Jordan's.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I realized she was going to be here so soon. Awesome. Well, Jaded Moon's going to be here in Columbus. She does a pretty specific style of tattoos. She also does pretty specific locations for these tattoos.
I have a lot of
Gonna pull
questions
some
for
of her
her.
work up.
Yeah.
You
With
are
my
gonna love
upcoming
her.
tattoo, I have a lot of questions.
You are
I kind of
gonna
have a
love
couple
her.
questions too. I'm interested.
I'm excited Corey Ferguson's coming up. I knew he was going to be one of the guests. I didn't realize it was going to be this week. And some of the crazy black stuff I've been doing. Yep, that's train. Sure is training out there. I wonder if the mics are picking it up at all.
I wonder if my car's windows are up.
Is that from Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Where?
That is Frankenfurter. Perfect. Yep, she's kind of known for the risque tattoos. There's not really much that she's shy about, but man, she's awesome to hang out with, awesome to be around while she's working. Is she gonna be here just for a few days?
Yeah, Sunday, Monday.
Just Sunday, Monday?
Mhm.
Well, hit her up, see if she's got any openings. I feel like we've talked and talked
We did.
about all the
We did
things.
talk.
Is there anything else we want to talk about? You
I
wanna,
think we did it.
you wanna plug your own stuff again?
Oh yeah. At Shabby Beatnik on Instagram, Shabby_Beatnik.
Thanks for taking the time to join
Yeah.
us tonight. I
Yeah,
knew
thanks
since
for
you'd been
hanging out.
tattooed and you'd been to a show recently, we could have a nice conversation. We will be back next week. I think I'm gonna get in touch with Chris Taylor and see if he's available to join us because he's been kind of on the tip of everybody's tongue lately.
Also, Jeff wants to as well. So
We could have them both.
could be cool.
Yeah, reach out to Jeff and see when he's available because it's actually pretty easy to do like a panel style show as well.
Awesome.
It's actually been a long time, way back when we were still in like the 30s of episodes, maybe even not that far along, we did a bio night where we had a whole bunch of different bio artists join
You've been
in.
talking about bringing it back for a little while. Are we going to finally do it?
We could sit down and organize a bio night. We could organize a new school night.
Jeff and I would be a
Speaking
menace
of
to
Gunner-
society together, I think.
Get you, Jeff. If Gunner would be interested, maybe I could invite him next week.
Were you looking for more new school artists? I know Dave would. Dave and I text each other. I could
Yeah.
text him about it.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
He's a goober.
We should make these things happen. What other if we were to do panels with different artists in different genres, what other genres do you think would be
The dark horror.
Yeah.
that would be a good one?
I think that you need to have you talked to Cam in a while or ever because he's kind of magic.
Cam?
Yeah. Does he
Oh,
come
yeah.
on here and talk a lot?
He's like the most private Scorpio I've ever met. Like I'm a private
just
Scorpio,
so-
but
his
here
stuff
I
is
am
so
on
s-
camera all the time. If I even remotely throw the idea of him being like his face being on camera out there, he gets so like awkward.
What if he just tattoos
like, His
voice?
hands doing things is fine. Like his hands working with tools, his hands tattooing, but like to have him like speak on camera, I don't think he's comfortable with that.
Hmm.
I could be wrong, but he's not giving me the vibe, so I try not to
Here.
push it too far.
It's
But
just so beautiful. Everything he does,
his
it's like,
work is beautiful.
it
You
always
wanna
looks
pull
like
it up,
he's just
Kyle?
about to get started into it. I'm like, oh, you getting started? He's like, no, we've been working all day. And it's just like skin just looks like it's never been touched. It's just
Mhm.
like so soft and just like flows into each other. Everything's so even and like ugh, it's-
Beautiful heels too. It
Yeah.
goes back to being like hyper focused on the trauma you're
Yeah.
causing. When you understand microscopically what's going on, the things you can achieve without pushing the skin too far are pretty magic. Look at these things.
so soft.
Look at that
Thank you.
guitar lion morph. Oh, that's the whole
whole
video
bunch
of
of 'em.
everything. Yeah, well, that's Cam's work.
There it
Goes so
is.
fast.
Boom. I love that he's starting to incorporate more color as
Like
well.
this guy right here, like the video of him tattooing right there with that guy. Yeah. Oh, hello. Everything's just so like happy.
I love how he like works through a piece too.
Just a lot of times he'll work like background in, and for me that's a really efficient way to work as well. But he definitely is very systematic in the way he applies his tattoos, and each little piece is perfect before he moves on to the next perfect. He's definitely not one to like, he might jump piece to piece, but that piece is going to be finished and beautiful before he moves to the
Yeah.
next. And like, you know, from one session to the next, he might balance things and make things darker, or, you know, the way the
Mhm.
tattoos evolve. But in each session, it's just flawless, smooth gradients everywhere. And I love how like big his gradient transitions are. Like they're large, and that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
That's what makes his work so special, is to make those large areas of smooth gradients as smooth as he does. Derb does that with color, which is mind blowing. But to see Cam do it the way that he does with black and gray is like, man, this is next level. And like, he's got so many more years to grow
Mhm.
and keep growing. And like, I can't wrap my head around the stuff that he'll be doing in 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his projects are getting so big and so just on
That
point.
big
And
chest
like,
piece he was working on the other day was like a chest to
the
belly.
level of elegance that he achieves on, like, whether it's a male or female client, there's this element of elegance in all of his work. So I think as this project start becoming like full body suits
Mhm.
or partial body suits, I feel like once he has the freedom to really like stretch his tricks out that much, he's just going to be like, I don't know, I think he's going to grow into something we haven't ever seen before, just because like he's just
Mhm.
so hyper focused. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, he's very systematic in his approach. So when you're like hyper focused on each step of the system, there's not a weak spot in the tattoo, and it's beautiful to see. Well, that was a fangirl moment.
I like that. That was cute for us.
Do you know if he heard this, he would blush so bad that he probably wouldn't talk to either one of us ever again. Kyle, don't tell him.
I won't.
Okay.
Secret safe.
Okay. It'd be
Wait,
funny.
hey, we're talking all the time.
It'd be funny if he was like, I watch your show every week. This is what you say about me. He'd be like, well, yeah, you know, magic. Duh. Well, think we should wrap up?
Yeah.
We could keep talking, but we've jumped down a lot of tatty
Yeah.
rabbit holes.
I also am really excited because I have a drawing I want to go home and do.
Okay. Kyle, do you have anything you'd like to add? Anything you're looking forward to coming up?
Tattooing.
Aw. Apprentice Kyle, looking forward to
Kyle,
tattooing.
I
Good
want you
answer.
to give me a tattoo so bad when you first get started. I want to have one of your baby tattoos.
I got you.
Doesn't have to be the first one. I won't take that, but I want one.
She's like, but the fourth, maybe.
Yeah, give me one.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We will definitely be back next week. I'm going to reach out to a few friends of ours and get a lineup together. I should have asked Chris to join us last time I talked to him. I'm brainstorming a live on air. Anyways, we'll talk more tatties next week.
Have a great night because after all, you deserve it.